I'm good. I'm kind of tired, but like not in a bad way. You know what I mean? I'm probably a little slap happy.
I am a little calorie right now, crazy, but like
Last week of the challenge.
Yeah, last week of the challenge. So we're gonna do a nice little refeed over the weekend to look my best for my transformation photos.
Yeah, when is the last day?
I think it's Tuesday.
Nice.
Or the last day would be Monday. So like Tuesday would be the end of the. I don't know. This happened to me last year where I got kind of did like a pseudo prep. Like definitely not nearly as intense as a prep, but definitely got in a decent deficit to get a little leaner. And I feel like I got some of the like effects that you tend to have when you're like fasting. I guess I don't know if everybody has this, but I definitely do when I get low calorie. I say low calorie, I'm still eating 5 meals a day and carbs at all of them. Just definitely a lot less carbs than I'm used to. I get not necessarily like tired. I'll get tired if I'm like really like before like my last show, I was like, it is a job to get up off this couch.
Right.
But like, I don't know, low energy enough that it's almost like a calming, relaxing.
Yeah.
You've done a fast before, right? Mm-hmm. Did you notice that?
Biggest thing I noticed was hungry. So
yeah, I noticed that too.
I think my like longest fast I've ever done was like 54 hours or something like that.
That's a good amount of time.
Yeah, it was. That was the one we were living together whenever I did that. And what's funny is like I had no expectation of how long I was going to fast. I was just like, I'm just going to fast as long as I can. Like I'm just curious when I will break. You know what I mean? Which is tough because like I am. I say this, and it's probably because I reinforce this to myself too all the time. But like, I can't go to sleep if I'm hungry. That is like a tough thing for me. If I'm hungry, it will keep me up.
I don't know if I can or not. I'm so used to having like a like planned meal at like later in the day, like pretty much before I go to bed.
Yeah.
That I probably haven't done that in years.
Yeah. No.
Like potentially over a decade.
Yeah. It's been since that fast that I've done that.
Wow.
I like that. I eat pretty late. And so that was like a really interesting part of the challenge for sure, was like, how do I like go to bed? And really, I would say like that, it was like really just the first day is like really like the first 24 hours. And I think people say this a decent amount, that's like definitely when it's tough. And then once you're through that, it's kind of whatever. Yeah. And then it ebbs and flows quite a bit. And like, I remember 54 hours in, cause I wasn't like overly public about it. I don't think like talking about fasting. And I think I might be totally misremembering it, but this is a funnier way to describe it anyway, is being like, going to the fridge for like a diet soda or something. And Alyssa being like, again, I might be misremembering this completely. She had gotten like a Little Caesars pizza that was like 4 days old. And she's like, She's like, I'm not going to eat that. You can have it if you want it. And I'm like, yes. And it was awful. Like, it was not good at all. It didn't even taste good, like, at the time. But it was just, like, one of those things where it was just, like, that was, like, I looked at the pizza, I think, and I was like, oh, man, it's not mine, at least. So, like, I can't, And Alyssa was like, do you want that? And I'm like, yeah, I do.
I don't have the mental fortitude for this.
No, I didn't. And I ate it, and then I felt awful because like I'd eaten in like 54 hours, and like the first thing was like 3 or 4 day old Little Caesars pepperoni pizza.
Dude, it is crazy how there's when you haven't had, like, I guess when you've done a fast or like avoided like bad food for so long, like obviously your palate changes quite a bit, but I feel like there's like almost like a curvature to it, or like a sweet spot. Mm-hmm. So for me, last year when I did the challenge, and I like a big thing I do is I really scale back on like my like cheat meals. Like I'm not eating, a scheduled burger or pizza, which I'll do sometimes normally throughout the year. I'll do like some refeeds of like sushi or steak and potatoes or something like that.
Right.
And those foods start to taste really, really good. And the one time after last year's challenge, I started to kind of ease back into some more normal foods. I remember I did breakfast sandwiches because it was like, man, that just sounds really good.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of cheese on some toast.
Little Chipotle ranch.
Little Chipotle ranch on there.
I know your recipe, brother.
Dude, okay. Normally those breakfast sandwiches, again, I'm a sandwich person.
Same.
But I feel like I could open up a restaurant with these breakfast sandwiches. maybe my head's inflated. But anyway, I remember eating those. To this day, that's probably the best thing I've eaten in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And I've eaten them a dozen times,
right.
That I can remember. But like, it was like, I remember eating those being like, what the literal fuck? Because
dude, yeah.
My palate was so sensitive to anything that it was like, it was so good. To contrast that, when I continue to ease kind of back into some more normal foods, I went and got a burger and fries, and it was like, I think it was a little bit too soon that it was like, this just doesn't necessarily taste that good. Like this is honestly kind of disappointing.
Yeah. And I think that was like, I think because it's like it's Little Caesars. So it's like Little Caesars slogan is hot and ready. It's hot. It's ready. They didn't say good at any point in that. I think there's a comedian who makes a joke about that, but it's like, it's hot and it's ready. Mm-hmm.
That's where check. That's all we're going to say about it.
And they're like, and hey, their pizzas are still like $5. So, and I remember being like, this is not even good. And I'm like, it's old. It's so dry. It's like, knock on the counter hard. And I'm like, I don't care. I just want anything. Yeah. And just being like, that wasn't like, I should have, like, that's the thing that was dumb about it, was at that moment I should have been like, no, and then went and bought a Little Caesars pizza. You know what I mean? Like, I should have.
If you're gonna do it,
if I'm gonna do it, I might. But I think I had like gone back and forth, and I was like, fine, I'll do it, kind of thing. I had like crippled right there. But it was. No, it wasn't very good at all. I should have just went and got a pizza. I will say, I don't even know if they still do this. Pizza, Little Caesars. When I was working at the liquor store that was like next door to the Little Caesars, there was a guy in there.
That's dangerous.
Oh yeah. But there was a guy in there who lived, because it was at 164th and Penn, and he lived at those apartments just south of where like the Scooters is on Penn, where Anna and Corey used to live.
Oh yeah. And
so for anybody who doesn't know, the one across from like the Dairy Queen next to the Scooters.
The creme de la creme.
Creme de la creme. Yeah, that's right. The kids farm. But
that's what it is.
Yeah. And he would walk to work. And I always felt bad because we'd close at the same time. So they close, and he was a nice guy. So I'd give him a ride home quite a bit. And whenever I'd give him a ride home, like he'd be like, do you want a pizza? And I'd be like,
I mean, yeah.
And a lot of times I'd say no, because I'm not the biggest Little Caesars fan, but I don't know if they still do this, but for a while there, they had a barbecue brisket pizza that was phenomenal. And like, he would make it for me too. So, he was like super nice, and I think very appreciative of the fact that I was giving him a ride home. Cause it's like, it's a 5-minute drive, but it's probably a 40-minute walk for him. You know what I mean? So,
put a little extra care in that pizza.
Right. He seemed very grateful. And so the pizzas were always the creme de la creme. But they, they do like, the crust would have like the Lay's potato chip, like barbecue chip seasoning on it. Dude, it was so good.
Jeez.
And I don't know if they make those still, or if that's still like a thing that he said everyone hates when that happened, when it comes out, because it's a really hard pizza apparently to make. He's like, it's a lot. And I'm like, oh, that's not what I want. I'm sorry, brother. It's the only thing I want from you.
Do you want to ride home or not, dude?
Yeah. It's barbecue or walking, brother. You get to stepping. But they, so I don't know if they still do it, if they like discontinued it or not. But if tonight I'm driving home past a Little Caesars and it says barbecue brisket pizza, I am pulling it and buying one, because they are so good. Oh man,
I'm gonna have to get one of those.
Yeah, there's a memory I haven't thought of in a long time. But yeah, that was that's their best thing. That's the best thing they've ever had.
Yeah. I'm going to be watching for that, honestly. I'm going to have to ease back into some normal foods, though, because, yeah, I would, I'd have one bite and might poop my pants.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, man, I feel like I'm in this, I don't know, I've really hit, like, over the last, like, couple weeks, I've really eased into, kind of like you were saying, like, it takes me, like, obviously I'm not doing like a full fast. I'm just kind of easing into a little bit lower calorie. And it takes me about a week of being like, man, this kind of sucks. And then once I kind of adjust to it, it's like, all right, this is actually kind of calming now that I'm a little bit more comfortable at this spot. Like, it's like, dude, I remember, the last time this happened, like I think I was driving when I realized, I was like, man, like, I feel like I'm in a really good mood. Like, I'm really relaxed. I'm really calm. I'm like, this is kind of a nice side effect to being in a deficit.
You know, it's really interesting too. This reminds me back when like ketosis dieting was getting really popular. I remember like trying it out just curious what it's like. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like
gain some experience.
Right. And it's honestly helped a bunch when I've like dealt with customers who were interested in it. I could kind of give my own feedback on it, and, you know, to each their own on like what you think of it. But it was like, you know, I was like, this is really interesting. One of the like effects of that is because like you're so low carb, you're no carb, like no carb all the time. I don't know how well I ever got into ketosis. Like, I had the little test strips, and I think that there was times that I was in it, but like, I was just low carb. I couldn't do that much fat. Like, it was a lot of fat that you had to like supplement.
It's a very hard diet to follow.
It's not an easy thing. And so like, I was like, okay, this is cool. Like, when I'd have carbs, they were like super high, like fiber carbs. So, you know, if you don't believe in net carbs, then I wasn't ever in ketosis. But anyway, just being that low carb, just in general, I think, I remember I'd gone to church with Josh Blair, and after church, a lot of times their parents would go to one of the country clubs that they were, I don't know if they're still members, been here, but whatever. They do like a Sunday breakfast thing there, and it's awesome. It's like essentially a buffet, but it's like everything from like breakfast foods. It's like a brunch thing. So they make breakfast food, but they also have like hand carved prime rib and like, you know, all sorts of stuff. I don't know how much it costs because they were always very, you know, generous towards me, and I never had the ability. They never
let you pay,
not even close. Kind of thing. But once like a certain time comes and, you know, they've got like all their stuff out, then the like dessert table comes out, and it is a table covered in cakes, pies, like anything you can imagine, they've got it. And I remember being like, yeah, you know, I've been doing ketosis stuff, or alleged ketosis light, for, a while, like a few months, where I really had not like gone heavy on carbs at all. And everybody around me had a piece of cake, and I'm like, fuck it. And I had to go to work afterwards, but I was like, I'll take a small slice of cake, right? Like, we're talking like
a sliver.
Yeah, like width wise, we're talking maybe an inch, right? Not much cake at all. And it was like choco cake. And it was amazing. I ate that. I legitimately did not feel comfortable to drive. Like, I was high.
Yeah.
Like, I'm literally like sitting there like, oh, I am stoned on cake right now.
Dude, it's crazy, man. Yeah. If you go right back into it, like, I remember after my last show in 2019, I think you were there when this was happening, but for anybody that doesn't know, typically after you compete in a bodybuilding show, you allow yourself to be a fat kid for 24 hours or that evening or whatever it might be. Obviously, you want to set a plan in place because you are very sensitive to carbohydrates, and you will balloon up to be an actual fat kid if you...
reverse dieting.
Again, your palate is super sensitive, so everything tastes amazing. Yeah. If you've never gone a while without like sweet or really salty foods, honestly, just for that experience alone, like, I would highly recommend, because food tastes like phenomenal.
Yeah. So,
anyway, I was allowing myself dinner that night. I say dinner. It was just food. And then breakfast the next day was what I was allowed to. I was allowed to eat what I wanted, and then I was going back to the reverse diet. Back on to ease back into everything.
Very important, boys and girls.
Ate some Empire pizza, and for dessert, chocolate chip cookies and vanilla ice cream. And I think I just like crumbled up the cookies, put them in the ice cream, eating it. I was at my sister's place back when she used to live by those apartments you were talking about. And I remember sitting on the couch. Granted, I didn't eat a lot, but I was sitting on the couch and my vision was blurred.
No, I'm telling you, like,
could not see straight.
I couldn't either.
I wouldn't have drove that night.
Yeah, like it's crazy, dude.
Dude, my veins were nuts the next day. My quads had veins like running through them. Like, dang, I should have done cookies and ice cream before the stage.
But like, yeah, you would have been stumbling around though.
True.
Abs
were gone.
Literally felt drunk.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. I know we've talked about this in the podcast before, but it does always like make me laugh of like the jokes they make about like a Doritos Locos Tacos like would kill a 10th century peasant. It's like it might.
Seriously though, yeah, it's like your digestive system, and I think there's a lot to be said for that too. Of like, we're really getting into a rabbit hole here, but I feel like there's a lot to be said for when people talk about like this is bad for you, that's bad for you. It's like the human body does generally kind of adjust.
Yeah,
like. Yeah, it's generally not great. Like it's, we haven't for centuries been adjusted to certain ingredients, but like the human body does adjust a decent amount. So,
right.
Yeah.
But
like Doritos,
one blast of a Baja might just be too much. Just overwhelm them.
Yeah, seriously.
Dude.
But yeah, like if the only sugar that you're used to having
ever had
is from a piece of fruit, seasonally.
What is it's like? And you ate a date thrice.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's a comparison.
It's like I twice.
Once I had a pear
and thrice an apple. Right.
But for real, that's like, dude, some people. I mean, there's probably millions of people that have never had sugar in their life. What would you go?
That's weird to think about.
You go a week without sugar.
Yeah.
And your insulin sensitivity is just crazy.
Right.
So
the only thing I could think of is maybe honey.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But like, who I don't know. I don't
know. You have to
live
in a region where
I don't know the
sense.
history of bees.
Yeah.
I don't know how much honey was like. Had somebody like gotten brave enough to harvest the honey yet?
Yeah,
probably because they had like, what is it like? I'm trying to remember. What is it like? Honey beer is like, there's a name for it. It's like honey wine, like honey alcohol is like what they used to make a bunch of alcohol with. I don't know.
Kind of like a rum, I guess.
No, it's like think of like a beer. I'm gonna say that it's a very common term, but it's not ever like accurately used, I think. Honey beer. What's that called? Mead.
Mead.
Yeah. Bring me my mead. Papa needs a drink. So one of our 4 listeners was screaming mead.
Yeah, that's
the
true.
Whole time they were like, it's mead.
I was gonna say kombucha.
Yeah. Oh, I hate, mead bucha. But yeah, I don't know. We're getting into honey and peasants, but yeah.
Do we want to? So I put a little something on Instagram this morning for people. Ooh, I probably should grab a quick picture while we on Instagram too.
Oh my goodness!
Hold up.
I'm gonna look real cool in this one. Just like I don't care.
Like just be sleeping. But I put a little something on Instagram this morning that asking for some topics that people would want to hear about, since we don't do a whole lot of episodes, just you and I, which I think is something we should probably do more regularly. Like we've gotten on a roll with doing some guests, and I think we've had a lot of people that wanted to join, and it's been awesome episodes. I love those episodes. Yeah. But yeah, man, I think we should introduce some more episodes with you and I. It was a lot of fun too. I know you shared it on yours. Did you get some people asking questions?
I think it just directs them to you.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Did you get anybody responding to your story?
No.
That's sad.
Yeah.
I was hoping to be surprised by some. I'll surprise you with all these.
Perfect.
I actually haven't even looked at all of them. We're just going to go at random. First one comes from our boy Preston, who makes best booger.
Who makes best booger?
Who makes best burger? Burgers. Is it Bob? Maybe McDonald Man?
Probably Bob.
Bob?
I go Bob.
Dude, those Spark burgers were. I tried a little piece of just a little bite of Alyssa's.
Spark is very solid, man. I'm glad we went there. That was I think that was the right move.
Yeah. Alyssa being pregnant right now is not afraid to tell people when she's not wanting to eat something.
Yeah. Hey, we did a quick adjustment and we pivoted and we were good.
I appreciate everybody that was in that group this weekend and accommodating for Alyssa.
I was ready. I had Spark as a backup plan already, just in case.
That's so smart.
It was like, because we were going to go to Social Capital. We had some kids with us. And so it's like, we're going to go to Social Capital. Not a super rowdy, but like, I don't know. Like, it's not a McDonald's place, right? And I was like, there is also Spark right there, which may be more like kid appropriate. I don't think Social Capital is not kid appropriate. I should clarify that.
Yeah, maybe a little later in the evening, but
yeah. But I was like, before a game, I feel like it would be like totally fun. But it was like, oh, not feeling Mexican. What about burgers?
Yeah, that was great. And I being in my calorie deficit was very calm. At least the way I remember I was very calm was Alyssa was like, hey, I don't think I can eat tacos. And like, she's in the spot right now where, she wants to eat as much as she can because obviously she's pregnant, but nothing sounds good. So bummer. Yeah, I think she like really like struggles, like will like start gagging. Like if she's like around food. She
killed a couple glizzies earlier today. I saw that.
That's what was sounded good, dude.
Maybe I'm pregnant.
But yeah, we were on our way to Social Capital to eat tacos, and she was just like, hey, I don't think I can eat tacos right now. And I'm like, I will go wherever you want. Let's look up anything in the area. We can let them go to Social Capital. We'll go wherever you want. I don't care. And you were like, we got Spark right over here. And she's like, I can eat a burger. I'm like, thank goodness.
Yeah, yeah. I was out of ideas after that.
Yeah. You only have one backup.
Yeah. All right. Bob's Steakhouse.
Preston had another really good one. This one, gosh, I feel like we should smoke weed to answer this one. How big is the universe? What else is out there? Intelligent life? Nothing.
Bro, so this is actually crazy. I was listening to, so it was on TikTok or something the other day. Guess the difference in time, right? So think lights, like a light year, right? Guess how long, like how many light years it's not years, but like
light months.
Yeah, it could be, but like light seconds, like those are all actual units of measurement.
Light time, yeah.
Right, light time. Because how much light time it is from us to the moon compared to us to the next closest galaxy. So next like Milky Way galaxy, the next closest, like we're in the Milky Way, the next closest one.
I did recently watch a video where it showed like space would look like stars, and then it started to like zoom in, and it turned out the stars were actually different galaxies.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then it was like it zoomed into the Milky Way galaxy, and then it showed all the stars. I'm like, fuck, like,
yeah.
Okay, so could you tell me the one, the light time to the moon?
Yeah.
And then I'll guess
Sure. Light time to the moon is like 1.2 seconds.
1.2 seconds. And then the next galaxy over, I know it's going to be a lot. I'm going to guess like 2 light years.
2 million light years.
What the
That's how fucking big space is. And that's just the next galaxy. That's not like the observable universe.
Aren't they? Gosh, we should talk about space. Was the last episode.
I'm still stuck on it.
Aren't they starting to like believe more and more that there is an edge to the universe, with the caveat that it can be expanding or shrinking.
So, this guy who I follow on like TikTok, he kind of makes my brain hurt sometimes. And so who knows how accurate he is, and I won't be able to explain this anywhere near accurate, but he was explaining like the constant expansion of the universe isn't in the sense of the way that we think of expansion. It's not like everything was here in the middle and then we're like expanding out from that. It's like everything's expanding from everything in all directions at all times. And so like there is no center, there is no edge. It's just all ever expanding.
I maybe I watched the same video, but it's like
long hair dude.
I can't remember, but it's not someone I follow. I just came across it randomly, but it's like it's like stretching, like the whole thing is stretching, right? Like in the sense of like, it's not like, it's simply just like I'm taking a fence and moving it out. It's like, when he probably had a better analogy, but when you like pour like pancake batter into a pan, that it like stretches out, like it's all there and it just kind of like stretches. Yeah. Like the distance from, our galaxy to the next, if it's expanding, also grows where the like edge kind of grows.
Yeah. And I don't think we know. I think that's like kind of the thing. But yeah, it's no, I think like the point of like what they were making was, and this is the crazy thing too, and I might be off on my numbers of like, but I remember it being like in the millions and then like less than 2 seconds kind of thing. But he was saying that like if that, and this might not be correct, again, caveat, but it was like if that galaxy was bright enough, it would be in our sky bigger than the moon. Even though the moon is 1 point, like,
jeez.
Or another one, I think this was.
I'm trying to like I would love to see that distance like scaled to like inches or feet. Like,
so there was another thing that did kind of put it, because they were kind of explaining like the size of things, and it was the size of the sun, and how the size of the sun is like incomprehensible to us. And you're like, oh yeah, it's like big, and you're like, no, it's like so fucking big that you can't even understand. And so he was like, so we're going to put it in terms that are like more like we can understand better. We still can't grasp it, but it's like closer. Is like if the size of the sun, if we scale down the size of the sun to the size of Earth and equally scale down like the size of the Earth, right? Like if the size of the Earth, like the sun was the size of the Earth, how big would the Earth scale down to? Like how small would that be? And it's the dot on an I of a regular book. Like on the letter I of like a page of a book, the Earth would be the dot above the lowercase I, the sun would be the Earth sized. Like,
so
what?
If we somehow had this random gravitational pull that from some other galaxy that pulled the Earth into the sun, it would be like a
yeah. I mean, it would be like an incomprehensible like nothing.
Yeah,
it would be like literally nothing.
That's even that scaled in that way. It's hard to
fathom the size of the Earth, but I know how big fucking Oklahoma City is. So like, and I know what the dot of an I on a book compared to Oklahoma City is.
And then the sun is just, it's just one sun in our entire there's multiple suns in our galaxy, right? Correct. So the sun is just one of many
stars.
Yeah, stars. Sorry.
But the sun is a star.
Yeah. Multiple stars in our galaxy, but
there's like trillions of stars in our galaxy, and then there's trillions of galaxies. What?
Dude, all right. I'm team. Got to be intelligent life. That expanse. It's either. I always like this response is that there's either intelligent life or there isn't. Obviously, no. Yeah. It has to be one of those two options. Either is terrifying.
Yeah.
I think it's so expansive, there's got to be.
Yeah, right. Well, there was like there was something that came out, I think from NASA. Again, this is social media like driven news, so that could all be made up. But it was like they found through how they like detect stuff, they can like, it's actually really interesting. They can like, because I think colors have to have like certain things to create certain colors or something. And it's like they can essentially take the light from like a star or whatever or a planet, and by breaking down the light, they can see like what different things would have to be on there for this to exist. Like what chemical compounds would have to exist in order for this to get the reading that we get. I don't understand any of that. Very interesting. But apparently they came across a planet that had some chemical compound that we on Earth only know from being created from biological life. So this is like one of those science things where like A plus B equals C doesn't mean B plus A equals C kind of thing, where it's like, yes, but we don't know what we don't know. So we only know that as experiencing from biological life. That doesn't mean that somewhere else in the universe it isn't. So it's like, it is a sign that it like definitely could be, but that like, but yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
I remember watching one thing one time where they were looking for, because I think there's certain scenarios or certain particular things that have to happen for a planet to be able to host biological life. And they found planets that were similar to Earth, or they were looking and finding planets that were similar to Earth. And it's like, how many billions, trillions of planets, options are there out there? And it's like, it sounded like they found a couple that were like, these could be pretty close. Like they potentially could have some biological life, but.
Well, it's also super interesting too, because like you start looking at like, into the galaxy and how like things kind of like work. But I remember reading something one time where they were essentially talking about like how fast the universe is expanding. And it was essentially saying like, if you were to equate that to like, a tape measure or like a ruler or something like that. And that ruler was something like, I forget what they said it was. It's like if that ruler was 100,000 miles long, but it was just like inch by inch by inch, where we're at on the pace of like how fast the universe is expanding. If it was 1 inch to the left or 1 inch to the right, no life in the universe could be supported.
Whoa.
Yeah. Isn't it because it would be like too fast or too slow that it just like nothing would work. Yeah. Which then you start getting into like the intelligent design, kind of stuff. Cause you're just like, well, there's like books on that where they're talking about, it's like the, I forget what it's called, but it's something like the, something watchmaker, which is essentially like watches are so intricate and like so crazy that the argument against intelligent design or just like purely evolutionary, like, whatever people want to believe
randomness by chance.
It is like tenfold the intensity of us like coming across a watch that has like all its dials and everything is like perfect as a perfectly made watch, and it being like, yep, with enough time and things that would just make itself.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, like that's, and obviously they're arguing for intelligent design in that case, but it is like, you start looking at like laws of physics or like certain things or how fast the universe is expanding. And again, I could be way off on all this, but it's like, they were saying like it was like 1 inch to the left or 1 inch to the right. It's like, nope, nothing would be able to exist because that's it's like crazy. Atmospheres wouldn't be able to form or something like that. And it's like, oh, so it's like a 1 in a gazillion chance that like, that's it.
That's two things. One, I always really liked, talking to Vincent about that kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And the one thing I always really liked that he kind of would talk about was a lot of scientists, which a lot of people like kind of have this assumption that scientists or people that are, study evolution are, automatically not religious or don't believe in a God. And he was knowledgeable enough to know that not all of them, but a lot of them did very much believe in a higher power, some kind of intelligent design, and were trying to learn more about that higher power.
Right. Like, obviously not necessarily referencing just like a Christian God, but like talking about just like any higher power of like some sort where it's like, I think if you take the religiousness out of it and the like caveats that come along with that, with like how people treat or handle religion,
it's a tough thing
for sure. But it's like, you just clear all that out, right? Like just forget about all that, like not Buddhist, not Christian, not any of those things, just like a designer. And it's like, it really does. I think it's super interesting too, because it's like this is crazy. You know what I mean? Like, cause I'm far from like an evolution, like non-believer, you know what I mean? But then it's also like, you start looking at like how evolution works and you're like, good thing blood started clotting. Otherwise, like a bruise and you're cooked, dude. Like, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Or like, good thing was DNA and RNA replication started happening and like immune systems started and all of those kind of things happened. Otherwise, like, whoops.
Yeah.
That's just a crazy, and that's just like one example of like the highly intricate things where it's like Vincent's very much like, the more he studies biology and the intricacies of the human body, the more he's like, this shit didn't happen. So he made this. You know what I mean? And so, it's very, very interesting when you start like really diving into that kind of stuff. Cause I think like regardless of what you believe, especially if you're like, again, when it comes to religion, but just like outside of that, where it's just like, if it was all by chance, that's crazy. If it wasn't by chance, oh, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like,
either way is kind of crazy.
Either way is kind of crazy, dude.
Right. Yeah. You can't believe that it's, nope, this is all just totally normal.
Yeah. Right. It's like, again, like if we walked out and like, there's a car out there and it's like, either somebody made this, like, that's pretty crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Or it's like, nobody made this. This just happened.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy too.
Yeah. Didn't they like somewhat prove, obviously nothing's ever like fully proven, but didn't they like, is there some proof that there are multiple universes?
That's a great question. I've heard things like that where, there is evidence of like a multiverse.
That is crazy. I maybe watching a little bit too much Rick and Morty, but the theory that there are infinite universes blows my mind, because that means if there are truly infinite universes, there is one that is identical to the one we are having right now. Right. But instead of saying right now in this particular instance, instead of me saying dog, I say cat.
Yeah.
Or I say those in the inverse way.
And there's another one where you say cat and then blow my head off with a shotgun.
Yep. And there's another one where I do it with a revolver.
Yeah. Dude. And there's another one where I dodge it and I shoot you back.
Infinite universes. Everything happens.
Right.
I don't know how much I buy into that one, because that's hard to fathom, but it's also hard to fathom how big the sun is. So... And that's a whole lot more proven than infinite universes. So
right, dude, that is like, ugh.
All right, we got an inappropriate question from Anthony.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. I'm not reading his.
What did his say? Show it to me. Is that what his question was? Show it to me.
Hey, wait a second. You put an inappropriate one on here too. I'm not reading that one. Anthony, we see your question, or I'll acknowledge it. I'm not going to read it. Back to either really simple or really deep.
Yeah.
Alexander Hurst asks, why?
Why not?
That was going to be my answer. On to the next one.
In a multiverse, you said it first. Sucker. Not this one, bitch.
And there's another universe where you say that and I walk out the door and never come back.
Yeah. And there's another one where I have a puppy. I want to be in that one.
We should be more optimistic about these other universes.
Yeah. There's another one where we kiss. Could be this one.
Could be. But then it would happen in other ones. So
all right.
You do have 2 kisses.
There's one where we kiss, I have a puppy, and I shoot you with a shotgun. So
if there are infinite universes, there is one that happens.
Well, there you go.
All right. This one will be a question for you.
Ooh.
What's the best brand of water from Smoky?
Oh, that is... That's tough. I know plenty of waters I don't like. You ain't catching me buying one of those. I don't like Aquafina. I don't like Dasani.
Alyssa hates Dasani.
Dude, it smells like hand sanitizer.
Because I've seen a lot of hate on Dasani. Is there anybody that does like Dasani?
There's got to be.
I mean, or they've got a stranglehold on certain markets and distribution.
Probably.
Like,
yeah, where you're just like...
Subway's got to sell Dasani. I don't know if they do or not.
Yeah, right. Where it's just like, this is it.
Yeah. We know it sucks.
Dasani is literally just a giant money laundering where they just buy back all the bottles and then resell them through their distribution again. They got a truck that drops them off and a truck that picks them up.
Something's up, Dasani.
Yeah, dude. It's trash. I'll drink it if I have no other option. And there's water from the hose in the backyard or Dasani. I'm going hose water.
Really?
Yeah. Hose water kind of slaps though.
Dude, you drink it when you're the thirstiest.
That's right. You seen those memes where it's like a guy like crawling through the desert and they're like, you want some water? And he like pulls out a Dasani. He's like, so my favorite waters. I will say this. I don't like any water that comes in a metallic can or bottle. Gets too metallic-y tasting. It throws off the whole thing.
I can't do like a thermos that's like for water. Like
I can do that. Like I can do mine. Like I've got a thermos. Like I've got one of these. Jamesy boy got that.
I didn't realize that was. But one that's been sitting in there.
Yeah, it's like this is stainless steel. I think it's like aluminum. Like I can taste it. I don't know. Like it's just I can't taste it in this. It just tastes like water. But if I like crack open like a twist top, but it's all like aluminum water, it's like it just gets a little something to it.
Not a fan of the Liquid Death.
No.
It's the aluminum.
Could never do it. I'm not a big sparkling water guy either. So like that's like I know Liquid Death has still water too, but this is tough. If we're talking like a real funny water, like something random, I don't know.
For anybody that wasn't following Thomas when he was doing the Funny Water Chronicles, I don't know that we ever got a conclusion on your favorite.
I'd have to go back. But I do like if I'm just like running through a gas station, I'm like one of two people. I either get like Casey's brand 87 cents like bottle of water because it just tastes like a bottle of water, better than Aquafina, better than Dasani, and half the cost. Or I'm like, treat yourself, and I'm like a Fiji or like one of the fancy boy ones. I'll splurge on some water. Smart water, I like Smart Water. Smart Water's a good one.
Smart Water.
Yeah, anything that comes with on a nipple, I'm in. But yeah, that's probably I think underrated are the super cheap gas station brand water bottles.
What about Ozark? How do you feel about Ozark?
Yeah, I like Ozark.
That'd be like if I'm splurging a little bit. I don't do anything too crazy. Like I can't remember last time I bought like a Fiji or anything, but
I have spent during the Funny Water Chronicles, I think my most expensive bottle of water I bought was like $7.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy. I feel like there's
meh.
Yeah, I feel like there's like it's kind of a status symbol a little bit though.
Definitely can be. It is nice when like it's be like a glass bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also don't like, I found that my water, I care more about what it comes in as like a marker of how much I'm going to like it more.
Receptacle preference.
Yeah. Cause the receptacle for water will flavor your water. And so, like the cartons, like the
Little milk cartons, but with water.
Yeah.
I've seen those.
Nah, not me, dog.
I've never tried that.
They're kind of weird.
Tastes like paper?
A little bit. Get a little something in there. It ain't right.
More dependent on the receptacle than the water itself, it sounds like. But that makes sense, though.
Yeah, you blind taste test me, though, I'd probably like, this Dasani's awesome.
I feel like there is a decent amount that plays into that, like what the packaging looks like will, like the color, just the overall look, I think will play into like.
It is funny because we just did that series of like having people test like the straw drink, all the different energy drinks. People definitely had some mind shift on like what they thought was good or not.
I feel like that's been good. I was talking about that with Alyssa, that there was a brand of energy drinks that kind of got known in our stores for at least our employees thinking they're not as good as everyone thought.
One of my favorites, though. I do genuinely like it.
Really?
Yep, I do. Yeah.
Which one?
Well,
yeah, I know. But yeah, it was, I don't know if we're talking about the same one or not, but maybe not. Anyway, there was a brand of energy drinks in our stores that got known for, with our employees. They were really good about we work with our employees a lot to make sure, like, hey, everyone has different taste buds. Everyone has different things they like and dislike. Let's make sure we're not, just fully like getting people away from certain things or other. Let people explore, try different things, figure out what they like, give your preferences. You can kind of lead them to ones that
some of our
are
employees got
like,
some bad palates too.
That
boy Ian don't know nothing that tastes good.
Dude. Yeah, it is funny that there are certain people that like especially when we're trying new defined products, we're just like, we've never done this, but it's like, it's tempting to take their votes on what they like and just kind of throw it to the side. Dude, because
they'll try something with this. I'll be like, this might be the best version of this I've ever had. What are you talking about?
But at the same time, someone out there has got similar taste buds to that poor palate, but
can't be.
But I heard that was an eye opener, that there was a certain brand that got thrown in there and that people assumed they didn't like because of herd mentality.
Yeah.
They probably start working here and everybody else they're working with is like, these suck. And they blind taste test them and they're like, they don't get it right. And they really like that one. And they're like, wait, that was that brand?
That happened a couple of times. Cause like what would happen is be like, people would be like, oh, that blah, blah, blah sucks. And I'd be like, I like them. Like, I don't like all of them, of course, but that's any energy drink. But I'm like there are some, like a couple of them I will happily drink regularly. Like I like them a lot. Like I have no problems with them at all. And I get it. They're not everybody's favorite, but they're pretty popular. So,
everyone gets so polarized on their opinions on energy drinks too.
And so what was funny though, is as soon as the first one they came across that they didn't really like in the blind taste test, they immediately guessed that one. And it was wrong every single time.
Good deal.
Every single time they were wrong. And then they go to it and they go, and they'd be like, they'd name something that is like really well liked in the store. And I'd be like, yeah. Cause it's like it is funny because
you sheep.
Yeah. Like one of the ones for me is, like, I don't know what it is. Something in them. But Gorilla Modes, I think they're great. Remind, I don't know which one the can is, but anyway, I think they're great. They taste good. I have no qualms with them at all. Something in there I think I'm allergic to, and it makes my mouth kind of numb. And I'm like, that doesn't seem like a good thing to drink a lot. But Gorilla Mine in general, energy drinks are well liked by our staff. A lot of our staff really likes the Gorilla drinks, right? And I remember somebody had been like, oh, I don't like that one very much. That's this. And then drank the one that they supposedly don't like and called it the Gorilla Mine one. And I'm like, vindicated. information.
I feel like this has been a good exercise for our employees of like, hey, don't just form your opinions on what you like to take or what you taste you like and don't like off of what you hear from other people. Maybe form your own.
And also like try it multiple times, because
Right.
there's definitely times that I've had some that like, especially side by side, you really do notice the differences. Like I remember one, I think it was the Lost and Found, that like I tried it and it was the orange, but it was like an orange lime. And I'm like, this is a bomb. I like this a lot. But I think like trying something like, if you don't necessarily like it off the get, like try it again later, because you might like it later. Like, you know what I mean? Like
I've definitely had that before too, where I like, it depends on like what I ate before that, or like, you know, was it like something like super flavorful that I like drank before it, or like have I not had anything with any flavor in the last 2 days and I'm like trying something, I'm like, this is amazing. So
right. Because you know, there is one energy drink in the fridge. I will not name it, obviously. I think it tastes like buttery popcorn, and that's not the flavor of it. But that's what it tastes like to me. Not the biggest fan, I'll be honest.
Yeah. I was trying to think of how we got here. Water. Water. Yeah, that's not too far.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not too far. But yeah, good eye opener for the employees.
Yeah, I thought it was fun.
Yeah, it's
Mine didn't get posted. I was almost perfect, by the way. I don't know if you heard.
Did you
Ryan
really?
cut mine, and I think I missed. You have to miss at least 2 because you know you got to nail them all. But yeah, I only missed 2.
Dang.
Yeah,
That's pretty good. I would do terribly.
I wouldn't
like get a single one right
because I think there was 8 of them, so I went like 6 for 8, and I think I went like 5 for my first 5.
Dang.
Yeah,
That's crazy. You didn't cheat?
no. How do you cheat?
Going back to like
I should have. I could have pulled up the camera from inside the store, like zoomed in on the box from the other side. Like, all right, gotta take a mental note real quick.
you go opposite.
Yeah.
Man, that is actually one funny thing, because we've been doing some flavor testing a little bit this year for some new products for Define coming out throughout the course of the rest of the year.
So tomorrow.
Yeah. And
Just kidding, by the way.
we've gotten to the point where we have to be very strict about not communicating when you're trying. So we try and get as big of a sample as possible.
Right.
Obviously, you know all this, but we try and get as big of a sample as possible when we are trying new flavors. So typically what we do when we're doing a new flavor, a new product or whatever, we order, 5 or 6 different flavors with plans to only do, a couple of them or even just one of them kind of deal. But we get to sample like, hey, this sounds really good, but maybe our manufacturer can't pull that one off, or maybe it's not as good with the ingredients as we think it might be. So
You got to play with that.
right, absolutely. And then we kind of narrow it down to, a couple there, and then we'll make tweaks with those, reorder samples, change some things, retry them. But especially on that first batch of like when we're trying, about 5 different samples, typically, or 5 different flavors, man, there's sometimes where we're trying like a dozen different ones.
Bro.
When it's protein, that's tough.
Oh my God. Protein is brutal. Especially isolate protein is brutal.
Yeah.
It sounds fun. And don't get me wrong, it is. Until you've got 8 different flavors, 2 versions of each flavor. So it's like
6.
cookies and cream A and B.
Yeah.
So you want to do cookies and cream A with just water, cookies and cream B with just water, cookies and cream A with water and glucose, cookies and cream B with water and glucose. So it's like 4 per flavor. And you're like, so if you got 8, you end up trying like 32 different proteins. And brother, do they blend together.
Yeah. And you get the tum rums after that.
Tell you what, I am going hypo.
We have since pulled the glucose from
Right.
those samples because you can kind of get an idea on what the flavor, and we want it to taste good without glucose. Glucose will usually make it sweeter. Yeah, once we narrow it down a little bit more, we kind of double check it with the glucose, but yeah, we definitely learned early on when we were trying different samples of like, dude, you have 6 people in a room and you're trying 3 different flavors, and one person for one flavor is like, damn, that one's really good. everybody else in the room is going to vote that one.
Right.
It's like, dude, like we've just taken away everybody's actual opinions on how they truly feel about this. It's hard to tell how you truly feel about it when someone else is hyped, because as humans, we have pretty strong herd mentality.
Yeah.
So, and same goes for the opposite as well. If someone's just like, dude, that one is gross, nobody's going to vote for that one.
Right.
So we have to be very strict of like, it's pretty much no talking
Yeah.
when we're trying and voting.
Because it's like if you like have somebody who's going to be outspoken in that way, you have to like be outspoken the other way with it. You have to like match it. Where you're like, somebody be like, that one sucked. Be like, I loved that one.
Dude, I do that a lot at meeting when if I am trying to get genuine opinions from everybody, and it is maybe a scenario where we have to have more of a discussion about it, is I will lightly give counterpoints to everybody's argument, because to try and keep it a little bit more neutral, so people hopefully continue to give their own genuine opinions, as opposed to, again, just everybody following the leader and just being the first person that has a strong opinion.
Right.
Everybody follows.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and it's tough too, because it is also like human nature too. Like if we're trying something and trying to make a new product, if you really like a flavor, it's really easy to want to campaign for it because you want it.
Yep.
And it's like, and that's such a unique thing where it's like already it is 1,000% happened. I'm sure. I can't think of any specific examples, I guess, but where it was like, I'm sure for each one of us, I should say of like, I liked a different flavor more than what we went with on something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
All the time.
There's got to be something where it's like, I personally liked that one more than I liked this one. And yeah, there's got to be something, you know.
I find myself like, I am in the best position to be non-biased, in my opinion. I'll explain why here in a second, but I still find myself being very biased. A great example of this is on Friday. We're trying some new flavors for a product, and we're trying 5 different ones. We got to narrow it down to 2, and I tried them, and I'm like, it's for sure this one and this one. Like, those would be great flavors. I think they would do awesome. I think they would do really well. I think people would like they'd be interested in them and they'd like them. And then I tallied up the votes, and it wasn't those 2. It was one of them that I liked, but then a different one. But then I took a step back and I'm like, okay, like I think those would still pair well together, and I think would do well. But like my mindset towards it is, especially from the person that has to deal with the budget and products moving and, how quickly products are moving. And
you're like, I don't care if I like it.
Dude, I just want it to be well liked.
Right.
I would rather hate the product myself and it move well and our customers to like the product.
Right.
And the best way to do that is to genuinely get everybody's opinion. So it's like, I'll vote, but yeah, I am not campaigning at all.
Right.
So maybe we can, I don't know, maybe there's something we can do to kind of like instill that mindset of like, we don't want to have our personal favorites. We want to have what is going to do the best. That is, would you guys rather have your favorite flavor of Define Pre Plus made, or would you rather grow the company and build a career in something awesome?
Right. That's tough. Yeah. Cause you also want like genuine feedback of what people think is the best.
Right.
I think it's like, we have to like take that and then like, okay, this is what all the votes are. What do we think as a whole would do the best out of these kind of thing?
It's data, because if you try, we'll say like, I don't know, a lemon lime and a lemonade flavor. Like if those are 2 flavors within the mix and those 2 get the best votes, it's like, well, those are a little too similar. We've got to take, so it's like the way we look at it on the back end is we take the votes and it's data, it's information. Most of the time we are going with the ones that have the most votes, but sometimes we have to tweak it up a little bit. So,
but because I think that's also like one of the things too, where it's like, I think we get surprised at some of the things. Apple Kiwi Pre-Plus is like such a good example of like going into it without data or just anything. Apple Kiwi doesn't jump out as like that's going to be a great pre-workout flavor. It kind of was like, oh, okay, that sounds kind of interesting. And then I remember trying it and being like, holy shit, that is so good. It really caught us off guard as being like, because that's the thing. It's funny, like for people who have probably asked us or wondered, when we're like gonna make a new flavor of pre-plus or something like that, we literally go, all right, everybody shout out flavors,
and we get a list of like 30 flavors,
right? And then it's like, okay, we narrow that down to some interesting ones, some different ones, some ones that like statistically flavors that move a lot in the store, your rocket pops kind of thing. And then
quick shout out to Preston for putting together that data on all the products that we sell in store and their popularity, because it helps us. We know which product categories move relative to others. We know which flavors move relative to the others.
Huge.
Yeah.
But like we literally just like everybody just shouts shit out, whether it's good or not.
That's how it starts.
And then you narrow it down from there, and then we get some samples, and then it's like, all right, and how'd they do? You know what I mean? And then we try them. So it is as funny as it is. That is like how informal it can be at times, of just like, well, what do you guys think? And then we just blurt out flavors that we think would be good.
Yeah, it's a fun process though, man. I like sampling stuff as long as I don't have to try 32 proteins. Even that, I like. It's kind of
really fun. Not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah,
it gets a little old in the moment, but
yeah. Another good example is peanut butter puffs. We tried. That was one when we were doing new isolate flavors, because we picked cookies and cream, blueberry muffin, and peanut butter puffs. We sampled those flavors all at the same time amongst a handful of other ones. And that was where we were trying A and B. The peanut butter puffs was the funniest because we knew, we were very confident we wanted to do some sort of chocolate peanut butter, but we didn't know if we wanted to try and do more traditional chocolate peanut butter or peanut butter puffs. And so we asked for both.
Which also is a funny thing, because like if you have the right manufacturers, sometimes I will say flavoring on supplements is very just like them just trying to sound different on something. Like, we're going to call this blah, blah, blah. And it's just, like it's not, it'll be chocolate cake versus chocolate. And a lot of times that's just like them trying to fancy up it being a chocolate.
It's the same as the other chocolates.
Our manufacturers though are like, if you send chocolate cake versus chocolate, you're getting two different things, which is awesome.
Yeah, no, and we got to experience chocolate peanut butter, or their peanut butter puffs is a great example of that, because we got to compare it to their normal chocolate peanut butter.
And it was different.
It was different. It was like, that one does taste like peanut butter puffs. So like when you're trying it, and that's where it's a little bit tough sometimes, because you're trying it in such a big mix that it's hard to like really put yourself in a scenario of like, I got this tub, I open it up, I dump it in, and I drink a full shake of it kind of deal. Right. It's a different experience than when you're trying them all back to back. But that was the funny one where we asked for two different types of chocolate peanut butter.
Right.
I think it was like more peanut butter cup is kind of what we were going for. We got an A and B on that one. And then peanut butter puffs, we got an A and B on that one. And I think that was one when we also did glucose. So it was like 8 chocolate peanut butters.
That's tough.
But we always tell people, vote strictly on taste, because that is the most pure data that we can get as far as opinions go. We can kind of manually factor in all the other, like how unique would this be? How well accepted would this be?
Right.
Is it good enough to get past, it being weird, or is it too saturated on this flavor with, amongst competitive products?
Right.
But I remember the funny thing was chocolate peanut butter, and I can't remember all of the statistics, but it was like one of the A and B's on the chocolate peanut butter was very close to one of the peanut butter puffs that we were trying. And it was like, I can't remember if it was tied or even chocolate peanut butter was just a tiny little bit. The peanut butter cup was like a tiny little bit over the peanut butter puffs, but we factored in, what does the label look like?
Right.
We throw a peanut butter cup on there. Most other brands have a peanut butter cup.
Right.
But this one, like, if we do peanut butter puffs, that's super interesting. Is the flavor, one, it got good votes on taste.
Right.
Do we feel confident enough in it tasting like peanut butter puff? Because we want it to be, dang, that's not just chocolate peanut butter, that is peanut butter puffs.
Right.
And we're like, we feel confident in that. And that's where it's like those outside factors. But like in the grand scheme of things, the funny thing was, I think as an overall, cookies and cream got more votes, but than peanut butter puffs did, but we sell more peanut butter puffs than cookies and cream. So,
which is crazy.
Yeah.
Cookies and cream is the best.
It is very good. It's cookies and cream is definitely up there, but peanut butter puffs is just it's a mover.
Right. Which is funny though, because again, like when we're talking about this, like I like all of our products, like flavor wise. I don't think we have a bad flavor of anything, which is good. But like for me, cookies and cream is like light seconds. Get it? Better. Not light years.
That's still pretty far away.
Pretty far away.
That's to the moon.
I like cookies and cream. Like I like peanut butter puffs, but it's definitely not my favorite. But people love peanut butter puffs, dude.
Yeah.
Like the people who they are obsessed with it. And I get it. And like I feel the same way about cookies and cream. I'm like, the freaking cookies and cream is so good.
Next question.
Yes.
We're moving on. We got some good ones in here. I think we got some really good ones, like kind of like as we kind of get into. Yeah, we got to thank you to everybody that contributed on these different topics. We'll cover as many as we can. We'll hit another one from Smokey really quick. He did it. He had some goofy ones in there, and then he's got a good one. In your experience, what is the best way to dive into entrepreneurship? I have a strong opinion on that answer, but I am also very curious to hear what you would say.
Easy. Have your best friend start a company and then work for it. Duh. I think like from my perspective on it is best advice. I would say, I guess it like how to do it, or is it saying like if somebody is doing it, how to do it best, or somebody saying like
the way I took it,
saying it?
Yeah.
Reread the question, I guess.
In your experience, what is the best way to dive into entrepreneurship?
Okay. I would say finding that's a tough question.
I put myself into the question, or like kind of more of a conversation that I end up having. I've had a handful of people over the years kind of talk to me about different businesses that are different ideas, or if hypothetical companies that they want to start. But I've had a decent amount of friends jump in and do really well, and super excited for them. But it is, I think, a hard thing for people to get into. So I guess like how do you go from it being an idea to being a reality? Like what's the best way to genuinely get into it? Yeah,
I think there's a couple of things there that I think of. One is loving the process, I think is like a good way to think about it. And I think that there are ways to check and see if you do. And depending upon what the product or like the thing that you're trying to sell is, sell or make or do or whatever, I guess.
Provide.
Right. Is like, that is like one of the things. As much as I love supplements and I love fitness and I love all these things, I love the process. I love the process. Coming to work and like creatively trying to think of new and innovative ways to grow the company, like I get way more excited about that. Like a perfect example, like we've introduced a ton of new training and a ton of new like KPIs and just like benchmarks and performance indicator things. And we've introduced a bunch of new, revamped some old, but that to me is probably what Preston feels like when he's formulating a product.
Yeah.
Like I love the process of that. Like I'm in on that. That is fun. Implementing change, seeing how like if I or we or like whatever the situation is like if we do it this way or if we do it that way, what's going to yield better results from us? How do we track that? How do we look at those kind of things? And that's the thing, like you've got to, I think, be in love with the process of doing those things just as much as you are with the product or the thing that the service you're providing in and of itself. Otherwise, it's gonna be tough.
I'd argue it's more important.
Yeah, right. Because like that's the thing is it's like, again, I love supplements. I love fitness. I love all the things that we do. I think it's very cool. I think it's very interesting. To that same token, I have voluntarily skipped out of product tasting before. Like I have, you know what I mean? Because I'm like, oh, this is cool, but yeah, whatever we make, I'm sure it'll be great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's the thing where it's like, oh yeah, I'm good. But like, if you're like, ooh, let's work on KPIs and tracking some metrics and finding some new innovative ways for us to train our employees better and do that. I'm like, oh yeah, I want to be elbow deep in that. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I get a lot more excited about that and seeing how those like influences and ideas and things that we as a whole or you and I or whoever like come up with and see how those influence a company all together. I think like I get my rocks off to that like way more.
Yeah, dude, I'm not going to lie. I've had a lot of fun being involved with what you're doing, and being able to be kind of a second opinion on all that. And then being the one that gets to see and work on making sure it flows with everything else that's going on with the company. And I think sometimes like that kinds of stuff can be compartmentalized, but other times like it definitely has like a big effect on other things, and just like anything at the company. But maybe a good opportunity to kind of talk about like, you know, some of the stuff that we've been doing as a company this year, because like I've definitely had a lot of fun over the years of being in the grind and doing whatever's necessary, and, you know, not having too much pride to take on any task or, you know, do whatever it is to get to the next step and grow a successful company. And obviously still working on building a successful company. I don't know that I've ever been in a position that I just genuinely enjoy more without that grind aspect to it, where, man, I get to come to work or go to a coffee shop or, you know, work for wherever I'm working from that day, and I get to be involved in you putting together more customer service training, which to dive into that, maybe hopefully not too much of a tangent, but I think one thing we're known for with the stores is having top tier customer service, which is something that becomes harder and harder to keep that standard as we grow, without me being at the single location that we have every single day, and being the one setting that bar. It's Andrew Aguero that talked about this before, but when you're training people and hiring more people and bringing more people in the stores, you're creating a copy of a copy, and it gets harder for that copy just naturally 100%. To be as good as the original. So setting more, we do in our training right now, we do a lot of ingredient and product category testing, or studying and testing, but you've worked to implement an entire customer service module and training and a test at the end of their training in order to be able to work the floor. So it covers not just the science on the ingredients, but how to communicate with customers, how to actually help customers, not to mention all the things that you've implemented to with our evals and our managers and keeping up with that, our continued education with our employees, and making sure that there are more checks and balances to all of that. That is, we've definitely found that has been a tough thing to keep that standard. So we've definitely had to have some tough conversations and some frustrating moments of hey, having to re-explain what the standard is.
Yeah.
So I think this should hopefully help mitigate that frustration, that stress.
Hopefully.
Yeah. It will at least be not as hard. I would put money on that. May not be perfect, but I don't know that anything would be. But being able to like check in with you once a week and share my ideas and then get to hear from, everything that you've done. And now we're starting to implement it with employees and getting to work with Preston. I also check in with him on Mondays, and he's making he's not making our in-house test more difficult, which I'm sure a lot of people know how difficult that is. It's a written test over.
She's a doozy.
Yeah. Over essentially any ingredient in the store. It takes 8 to 12 hours to complete it. Handwritten test. But he's working to standardize that, which includes a rubric, and includes him grading the test and him setting certain metrics on what he's grading. He's got an entire Excel sheet where he grades tests, also is doing continued education with, hey, if you missed certain things on your test, but you got a passing grade, let's make sure that we cover the things that you didn't get right so that 100% of this, all the way down to him laying the foundation to write an entire triad textbook, which is awesome. But getting to work with both of you guys on like each thing that you're doing and how that coincides, and making sure that the training is as robust as possible, but still doable for a brand new employee, is doing things like that. And then I've been in this position for a while, but like our marketing with Ryan and getting to, work with our promotional calendar and everything that he's putting together. I feel like I'm in this spot where a lot of people are in positions where they are best, where they are really truly I don't know if I've ever seen you work as hard as you have, in the sense of you had the basis for the entire module, which is not a small thing, done in...
It's like almost 3,000 words.
Yeah. What did that take? 3 days?
Yeah.
And it was literally from the time that it's you and I had kind of this idea that snowballed into, hey, look this over. This is the rough draft, was 3 days. And I'm like, holy shit, this was a lot of work, dude. But you were genuinely really excited about it, man. And it's something that I wouldn't have personally been as excited about. Right. It would have been a lot more simple coming from me. In the sense of it would not have been as good of a module. It wouldn't have been as robust, but getting to be the one that gets to kind of add ideas and make sure it all works and rows in the right direction, the same direction, is a very, very fun position for me. So
I think it's you can, a lot of it is equally with Preston. It's you get Preston going on making the best version of whatever supplement. And it's eyes roll back into the back of his head. And he just you know what I mean? And just goes crazy. And it's it is cool. It's cool getting to see him do that kind of stuff too, from my perspective, because it's this makes sense. Having somebody who is for him and that, it's hey, the person who is super passionate and sees the why and gets it, and having that person creating a rubric and creating a textbook and understanding the care that goes into that, because that's the thing, is what we're essentially trying to recreate, which is exceptionally difficult. And I think all companies learn, is that when you're pioneer person, the person who took the leap and is doing this appropriately, can't be everywhere at once, right? That's obviously an impossible thing. And so we talked about it recently, is it's you've appropriately stepped away from being the person who trains the new employees, you know what I mean? Because you just can't do that, but
we've replaced it with people that are better at it.
Right. And that's the thing, is it's you're taking people who grasp the why from the very beginning and have a huge passion, and that's their passion project of the things that we do. And it's cool, now it's your baby to kind of grow and do the things that you want with it, because then that much of the like, because like this is how it is, I think, with anything. And I think you can, I hope you can attest to this as little as possible, but there will always be some of this, is that nobody will ever be able to possibly care. I'll put it this way. There will never be anybody in the world besides you and Alyssa who care about Riley as much as you and Alyssa do. Like, it's just an impossible thing. You know what I mean? Like, she is literally your child, and it is like the love and care and like I would kill or die or whatever I needed to do for this being is like just a parent that you can't match that, right? Like I'm not a parent, but you know now that you are the difference of like pre-baby and post-baby. Like the world is different. You know what I mean? And so I think it's very similar when it comes to like companies, and this is where I say I hope you can attest to this as little as possible, is that nobody will ever be able to physically care about this company as much as you do. It's like an impossibility. It is your child, right? And I think there are people who get so very, very close. And then what that does is you take those people and the things that they really love and understand the why about, and then allow them to create or put themselves into the position to take your passion and care and then this person's passion and care and then influence that into like new employees. And it's like, how do you translate that through as best as possible? And then you realize is like you as one person can't do all of it. So it's like you have to have people who are like the beacons of those things. And it's like, you do it, you take care of all this, because if you can handle this singularly, I can't handle it and being the beacon for everything else.
I think there's true in a couple of ways. Kind of, I would disagree in one small way, but I think you would back me up on this. Is as a whole, I think that's true. As a collective, I think that's true. It would be hard to find somebody that cares as a whole about all the aspects of the company as much as I do.
Right.
I think that there are a lot of people that are great examples for caring about individual aspects of the company more than I do. The example would be going back to if it were my task to put the training module together, even if I didn't have any other tasks on my plate, if I had all the time in the world to do it, I wouldn't have put a better one together, because that type of responsibility excites you more than it does me. So you naturally have more care in the customer service training for our new employees. So I care a lot. It's super important, and it affects so many different things for the company. But you care about that more than I do. Formulas, it's something I care a ton about. It's how well a product works for people, for our defined products. How well our defined products work for people makes a big difference on how well it moves over time, because we're not just trying to get people to buy things once. We're not trying to scam love it. We want it to actually work for them. So we want it to actually work well. So there was a lot of, I remember this was especially when we were in Norman, and Preston was taking over more formulations, but I think I was still very much overseeing it. You were definitely involved with kind of taking a look at formulas, and I remember getting to watch him develop on his understanding of what's not just a cool formula, but what will be well received by our customers, what will really work well, and getting to see him develop on how much he cared about that as a whole. And I remember it was when we were reformulating Define Sleep, and
just thinking about that.
Yeah, and he didn't put melatonin in it, which our original formula had a small dose of melatonin in it. But the amount of effort that Preston put into that, he had everybody on staff doing sleep trials, which not like in the traditional sense, but in the sense of we were taking we were taking unmarked ingredients over a course of multiple weeks and giving feedback on how we felt from one night to the next. So Preston could check different ingredients, different doses, how different things work together and report it. And he took all that data and created that formula based off of this. And he's like, we're not doing melatonin. Or he's like, I created this formula and it's got no melatonin in it. I'm like, fuck, man. Like, I feel like that's making a pre-workout with that caffeine in it. And I remember going to you about it because I was like, man, he put a lot of work into this and it's a super cool formula, but I'm hesitant. I'm nervous about it. And your answer was, man, I think I got a lot of trust in Preston and creating a good formula. You know, if he thinks that's the right move, I trust him. And I was like, man, I think that's why I haven't said a single thing about it yet. Is I haven't mentioned melatonin. I've asked him about it just to get his more of his opinions, but I haven't questioned. I haven't challenged him on it at all yet. And that's the reason. It was like, man, he just cares so much. We sell probably 4 times as much Defined Sleep as we used to. It is a phenomenal product.
Isn't that such a cool thing though? Because part of like what I was thinking about this is like, I think part of the reason why I've like even like subconsciously, maybe not taking a step back, but where it's just like having trust in one, our manufacturers, which cannot be understated. Where like when it's like we're doing like trials or something, where I'd just be like, Preston made it and it got made by Dynamic or Simpson. This shit's gonna be a bomb.
Yeah.
It's fucking gonna kill it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm good. I don't even need to. I trust both of those. I trust all 3 of those things so much that it's just like, oh yeah, Preston formulated it. Okay, yeah. So it's gonna be killer. Oh, and it got flavored by so-and-so. Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. We're great.
I think have gotten lucky enough to have like the only 2 manufacturers in the country that are capable of taking Preston's formulas and making them taste good.
Bro.
Dude.
To be clear, Define Pre Plus should taste like shit.
Dude.
It should taste like shit. It should 100%. Be so bad. It should not even be kind of good.
Nope.
No, it should be terrible. That is my only that's the thing. Because the fear with Preston is Preston makes Preston gruel. And it's going to blow your socks off, but it's going to taste like those socks that just got blown off. Right? Because he put, Peruvian mushroom grass in there. And you're like, don't know what that is. And he's like, it smells like shit. And you're like, cool. And, but then we send it to our manufacturers and they send back stuff we just like,
dog, this tastes like Kool-Aid.
Yeah. What is happening?
Yeah.
Like,
dude,
how?
That was a big thing for Pre-Pluses. I had to preface with Preston because we were still building some confidence with this manufacturer. And I had to preface like, hey dude, this is probably not going to taste great.
Right.
We're probably going to have to pull some ingredients or lower some doses to make it palatable because we've seen that before. Some of my all-time favorite formula of a pre-workout prior to Pre-Plus, they don't make it anymore. Fury, Core Nutritionals Fury X. Fucking phenomenal formula. I didn't mind the taste, and that was my selling point of like, hey, if you're going off of strictly just formula, this is the best we've got.
Right.
I'm like, it's not the best tasting. Like it's not the best tasting on the shelf but that's because it's got so many ingredients in it. I'll drink it. I drink it with not any issues. Other people couldn't get past it though. And we struggled to sell it.
Right.
So we didn't want to run into that boat. So I prepared Preston. I was like, hey man, I know this is your baby. This formula is you've really put a lot of time and effort into this. Just as a heads up, man, we might have to pull some things. We might have to lower some things. And
Preston put a knife to your throat.
Yeah.
Said, don't even think about it, you tall bitch.
Don't even think about it. I didn't have to reach up.
Wait till I get my stool.
We got those first samples, did not have to change a thing. That is a pre-workout formula with 0 compromise.
Literally.
And I cannot believe it tastes as good as it does.
1,000%.
Love every flavor we've done from it.
All awesome.
Blueberry lemonade. I'm drinking it with the sour. I did mix the blueberry lemonade and sour candy for pre-workout right now.
Dude, one of my go-tos recently, especially if it's like, I can feel my blood pressure up for the day, which will happen. Or if it's like actually, one of my go-tos, insane. I call it defined ibuprofen. Yeah, you'll get it. If I have a headache, bro, 2 scoops of Blue Frost Hydrate and a scoop of sour candy pump.
Ooh.
Smashes my headache. Gone immediately.
Yeah.
Because it's like hydrating, vasodilating, like takes away my headache.
Wow.
And
little
boy, is that thing got
Thomas likes his sour stuff. That's for sure.
So good.
No, I genuinely look forward to the flavors. Like when I'm drinking my pre-workout, cruising on the way home, turn some music on, drink my pre-workout.
Tell you what, dude.
But yeah, no, seriously, that has no business tasting as good as it does.
Speaking of which, and I think kind of going along with the question here, I think too for Smokey, one of my second pieces of advice is whatever you're making, make it for your target demographic. We this is something that we see in the supplement industry all the time, and we've kind of coined our own phrase that we say when we're trying to make this point to each other or the group or people that understand the reference is don't make pina colada without the coconut. Like, if you don't make it specifically for somebody, you're making it for nobody. Because in that analogy it's like people who like pina colada want coconut. And when there's no coconut in it, it's not going to be pina colada and they're not going to like it. People who don't like pina colada are never going to give you the chance anyway. They're going to look right past you. Or there was another pre-workout that was called literally Sour as Fuck was the name of it. The F word was blurred out, but that was literally the name of it. I tried it on a 1 to 10 sour scale. It was like a 2. And it's like, who is this for?
Yeah.
Who is this product for? Because me, as somebody who does genuinely love sour, make it as sour as we can. I be putting citric acid in my shit, like on top of it, because I want it more sour, right? Like, that's me. So when I see sour as fuck, I'm like, ooh, and I bought one. I had 1 scoop of it and I gave it away because I was so frustrated at the fact that it wasn't sour.
Yeah.
And then the thing is when you call it sour as F, somebody, I know you like sour, but give me person on the couch next to me that's not real. They don't like sour stuff. They're never even going to try that.
Right.
They're never going to buy it. They're going to look at that on the shelf and be like, no, ew, ugh.
Which it sounds like a really, obviously a dumb thing to do from like the customer standpoint, but you take the standpoint of like the company that makes that type of product. Like we'll use the pina colada one, for example, it can seem like a super logical thing and I think it goes back to what so many people say, like at least successful people will say, is like, don't try and market to everybody. Is find your target demographic, forget everybody else. Because it can seem like a super logical thing of like, ooh, pina colada, like that'd be a cool flavor. It's like, yeah, but there's a lot of people that don't like coconut. It's like, okay, well, what if we did it with like, really light coconut or no coconut where it's mostly just pineapple so it's, for the pina colada people and for everybody else. That's how you get nobody.
Right. And that's the thing is it's like, find your target demographic. And then as your company grows, start getting creative ways to find new people to get into your demographic. Don't start with everybody. Start with something small and then smaller, enough to support you, obviously. And then find ways to include additional people into that. Don't just shoot for everybody at first. Like you have to, again, like, I make fun of jujitsu clothing all the time, because I think it's so lame. Most of it, the vast majority of it is so lame to me, but they're being who they are. They are going after their target demographic, and that's more power to them. It's not me, and that's fine. So it's one of those where like, this stuff I usually make fun of is just like the stuff that's like over the top, where it's like a bloody zombie gorilla fighting, Michael Myers. And you're like, I'm never going to wear that, you know? But keeping with the analogy is like, oh, okay, like that's too much. Let's have him fighting not Michael Myers. We'll just have the zombie gorilla blood. And you're like, still not me, dog. Like, I still don't want it.
It's still, you're so far away. If you're trying to kind of cater to me, either cater to me or you don't.
Right, exactly. And it's like, for me, I'm much more like, I want it to just be one solid color.
Yeah.
You know, or just like a small little design to it. Nothing crazy.
Right.
And so that's where, again, it's like, it's one or the other. It's black or white in that kind of situation where it's like, you want to find who your target demographic. I'm getting choked up here. I'm so passionate about this. But it's like, you want to find your target demographic and then lean into that. Yeah. Lean into them and what they would want, and then worry about everybody else later.
Right. It's really hard to get everybody.
It sure is.
Not even everybody has an iPhone.
Well, you know, this is one of the things that like we've talked about a decent amount. It's like, how many customers have we added into the Triad system over the last like almost 10 years?
I think the last we looked was 20,000.
20,000 people. There's like 1.5 million people in the Oklahoma City metro, which means we have something like,
we're the Earth, Oklahoma City's the sun.
Yeah, it's like what is, you know, talk amongst yourselves for a second.
Man, not to get too off topic. Hopefully not, but
that is 1.3% of people.
That's crazy.
1.3% of people. Bro, what you're telling me is like, we have created a company that supports how many people? Livelihood?
20,000. Dude, that's a big number, man.
Right. But I mean, like, how many people work for Try It and Define?
20 people.
20 people. 20 people and growing, right? We are able to do that while missing out currently on 98.7% of our local metropolitan area population.
Yeah. Dude,
you can't have everybody. Lean into your 1%.
Yeah. Dude, I've seen that with probably more local companies than anything, of the assumption that they kind of like max out the area, or the size of Oklahoma City, so they start to reach into like other cities, or kind of pursue other areas. It's like, dog, like there's so many people here, man.
So
like
many.
Yeah, it's the people that would probably be most likely to buy your stuff or use your service or whatever it is that you do are probably the people that are closest to you, because you're most similar. People of Oklahoma City love to support local, man.
Right.
There are so many people here that are currently not a customer with you.
Exactly. And so I'd say another thing, like this has got my mind going, but I think another thing that's like super important is finding ways to, I think this kind of wraps up a lot of what we've kind of been talking about, and I'm sure we can move on to the next question, but is finding ways to be, I know everybody hears this all the time, but like, the proactive versus reactive. And, like, I think that was one of the things that you and I think have done, and Preston as well, and everybody, I should give credit more than just that, but to everybody, of like, you saw a video and you sent it to me showing how companies around our size, revenue, and time can plateau out. And we went fucking pants on fire. Let's implement as much as we can. Let's start right now. Before a plateau ever even sniffed us, we were like, fuck that plateau. We're going to bust through it. And we haven't even seen it yet. You know what I mean? So it's like, instead of waiting for that plateau to happen and then be like, okay, well, what do we do now to fix it? You can be so proactive and preventative of those kind of things. I feel like, one, and I think finding good sources of information to realize that these things happen, and kind of where to look, and kind of looking down the road and a couple steps ahead. but is like understanding like, hey, you know what? I am not anxious about a plateau right now. And I'm not anxious about a plateau right now because I know that when I was a manager, we got one monthly metric. Now that we've implemented new stuff, managers get
a whole scorecard.
11 monthly metrics.
Yeah.
That like, again, and even when we were getting one metric, none of them are ever harped on. None of them are ever like, oh my gosh, you didn't do blah, 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 or whatever. They are used to paint a picture of a direction and then allow us to calculate. They're a map for us to use.
I'll use my grandpa's analogy for this because I really like it. We're playing a game right now. If you relate it to baseball, without those metrics, it's like playing baseball game after baseball game without ever knowing what the score of any of those games are.
Right.
It's just the scoreboard.
Right. Exactly. And you don't have to, as Thunder fans, when we're down by 8 in the third quarter, you don't freak out. Because we know Shea going to put 40 down.
Right. And like, no team, and I'm sure any, like at least American league has, or any national league has gone an entire season being undefeated. Right. So you're going to lose some games. It's going to happen. You can win. Anybody that's ever won a championship lost some games in the season.
Right. And I think that's the thing. That's what I think allows me to maintain, and I think you as well, the like ebbs and flows of the company and the anxiety that comes around that, because that's natural to occur, to have some anxiety around ups and downs and, oh my gosh, we were a little this, did we, and understanding that like, nope, like I fully feel like at this very moment right now, we are as prepared as we can be, and tomorrow will be another day to be more prepared. And we will find new ways and new things to do, but I know the work that we've put in. I know the things that we've done. I know the things that we're doing and the things that are coming soon, that like, if we were going to hit a plateau, that plateau just got scooted down 6 years or something. You know what I mean? Because like, there's no way that's going to happen. I'm very confident in these things changing and doing the things that need to be done to make sure that plateau never happens.
Right. Dude, that video was kind of scary because that guy was like, I was watching that. I'm like, how does this guy know everything about our business? And he's like, here's why you plateau. And I'm like, fuck, dude, we very easily could.
Right.
And it's like, but he's like, hey, here's how you get past that essentially. And I'm like, that makes so much fucking sense. So it's like probably potentially one of the best. It was trying to sell a whole program, but like, dude, that 10-minute video, that 10-minute ad that I watch is probably potentially one of the best videos that I'll watch and that, this.
And to give the secrets away, all it was like more robust training and more KPIs, more like benchmark indicators.
Like, it's like, do we know how to do those things?
Yeah, we know how to, and actually we have some, but like, hey, let's make them all better. Right. And let's add a bunch more.
And we've got the perfect person that has just stepped into a GM role. This is another good time to kind of take a step back, but like the perfect person to work on implementing all of this. Someone that like on that scorecard, that's another great example of you and I had an idea and and I called you and, I was like, what if we did this? And you're like, what if we did this? And it was like 2 days later, you're like, I've got every store's scorecard created.
Right.
So yeah, another great thing. Man, I think some of you guys might remember the podcast that we did maybe around the end of last year, beginning of this year, where we talked about, you stepping into the general manager role, Preston stepping into, more of a define related role, more of a back end role. And like it being us being in a spot where it was like, man, we don't know if we can afford this payroll. Right. We don't know if we can afford to make this move right now, but we're afraid we might not make it to that point where we can't afford to do that if we don't just do it. Like there's some things that are hitting their limits, and some things that are getting more stress than they probably need to, and it may start to get tougher than it was. Sitting here now with all of our stores hitting the new year with the ground running, man, a lot of records company-wide being set. Yeah. And dude, we're just scratching the surface on all this customer service training that we've been doing, the KPIs, the metrics, all the stuff that Preston's been working on. Ryan's been doing a lot on social media. Dude, it's allowed me more time to put effort into like getting to work with like our overall, like our promo calendar, getting to work with our finances more, getting to be more creative in big picture. So like, dude, it's already, in my opinion, I believe it's already paid off. Like we've already we've at least broken even on that decision, and we are just getting started. And I'm pumped about it.
Hell yeah, dude. And I think to like quadruple down on the point that we're making, all of these implementations, all of these things that we've done, all came during the best month in company history.
Yeah.
The best month in company history, we didn't go, hell yeah, we're doing great.
Yeah.
Sitting on the couch. Me and you, especially, I was running around, my hair on fire, being like, oh my God, we got to make some changes. You know what I mean? And like positive things, sticking to who you are, because we're always really big on like, we know the playbook, stick to the fucking playbook.
How do we just make the playbook more robust?
Exactly. Like don't mess with the playbook. Like for us, you know, like even though we do a bunch of metrics, we're still never like overly harping on like sales numbers. Like that's like we think that leads down a path that like isn't what we're trying to do. And so it's like,
we're looking at how many people are coming in the door. I mean, what other metrics are?
Oh, there's a ton. I mean, we have metrics from everything from like, because we're trying to be cost cutting too. So it's like damaged products.
Oh yeah,
we've got, you know,
how many we work off a system of what quality of products are in the store, like what, like genuinely, like what is the quality of how well is this going to work for our customers?
Right.
How well are we doing on product
what's the
recommendations?
percentage of our products that we consider to be those green products that are like the best products? Like how frequently are those being sold over other things? And again, like none of this stuff gets like overly harped on. Again, it's just a scorecard to make adjustments. If your batting average is down, let's go to the fucking batting cages. Like you don't have to give up on baseball or change your whole swing. Yeah. It's just like, hey, let's go.
If you haven't had an error all season, but yeah, your percentage is down. Right. Yeah, we don't need to hit the field. Go to the batting cages.
And that's the thing that I think is like super cool too, is that, and again, to quadruple down on this point, is that like, be so proactive that like you're redoing and making much more robust your entire training program and metrics, and, you know, like with scorecards and, you know, redoing evals and then building new like action plans off of evals and like all of these things to make sure that like all our performance indicators are showing that like everything's good, because copies of copies are going to dwindle over time. So it's like, okay, well, we got to be checking these how do you like indicate each one of these copies is where it's supposed to be before it gets sent out the door is like such a huge part. And again, all of that came on the heels and during, like, we just finished like the best sales in company history, and it's like, cool.
We set a record and hadn't had any of this implemented yet.
Right. And one, my point too is like, we didn't sit there and just be like, yeah, we're doing everything we're supposed to be doing. We're doing everything perfectly. We sat there and we were like, hey, there's a hole. Let's fix it now. Like, let's not let this go anywhere that it's not supposed to go. And so I think that's a super cool thing of just like unity from like our whole team and like leadership team of just being like, I don't care that we just hit the best month in company history. Let's get better.
It's cool to see how much the managers and a lot of the employees are excited about all these implementations too. Yeah. My answer for Smokey, to kind of tie in everything that we've talked about, like all the stuff that we have going on, this is all stuff that we didn't have 5 years ago. This was not what we were worried about. To really play it back on the way the question was phrased in the first place, what's the best way to dive into business? I genuinely think that you just have to dive into it. Now, I am a person that I learn better from experience than I do from a textbook or a classroom. Those things to me can be supplementary, but like cannot be the basis of my knowledge. I just will not retain it. I won't fully understand it. I will be bored out of my mind before I learn from trial and error. I think that you have to, especially because so many business ideas are conceived but never brought to reality, because people, I don't know if it's maybe they just don't know what the next step is. Like they hit a point and they just don't know what the next step is. I think I was definitely really lucky in the sense of I was with two other people in the beginning that it was, we were all like, we would sit and be like, all right, what's everything that we need to do? Or, we're going to meet next week. What is our to-do list for this week? Hey, we need to do all of this. Okay. You're going to do this. You're going to do this. I'll do that. And then it's like, it was kind of like homework, but it didn't feel like homework in the sense of like, I was excited to work on those things. But like, I think it could very easily, like if you were just doing it on your own, it could very easily turn into, it doesn't matter when I do it. Like, so I think, I don't know, in some way, shape or form, I'm sure everybody's way that they would dive into business would be different. And I'm sure it depends on the different industries, and even in the same industry, there's 100 different ways you do it. But I think find a way to like really commit yourself. Like, I'll use this example is to get our business started. We took out way bigger of a loan than we probably should have, and signed a lease with way more rent than we probably could afford, and we racked up a lot of monthly expenses very quickly, and we had to figure out a way to pay it, or we were going out of business pretty quickly. So I think it worked well for us in the sense of it put our backs up against the wall of we got to figure out how to afford all these expenses. So I guess to sum up my answer is take a big risk. Like put yourself like
burn the boats.
Yeah. But honestly, I was trying to avoid that one. I don't know why, but like genuinely like burn the ships, dude.
Yeah. I mean, it is tough sometimes, like where it is the, you obviously don't want to put somebody in like a bad situation, not knowing what they're getting into. But I think it's like you said a million times though, like it's so much of starting a business is do everything you can and then hold your breath. And holding your breath doesn't look like sitting still. Holding your breath looks like doing everything you fucking can, no matter what. And I think the point that you're getting at is that like when you burn the boats and you don't have any other option, you have to do those things. If you have the mental fortitude to just do it, great. I probably need to be like this or I'm homeless. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like a really good motivator to get me out of bed when I don't want to go do something.
It's a great motivator.
And so it's like, I think you kind of, like for a lot of people, I think you kind of have to have that like pseudo gun to your head, like, it's this or die, and I've got to do it. And so that, like, I think that the point that you're making is like you don't necessarily have to do it by burning the boats, but like you better have a lot of drive.
Yeah.
Like I think like if we were to start another business now of something, like we wouldn't have to burn Triad to do it. You know what I mean? Like, but it's one where like
we've got enough experience in processes and systems to like we follow the playbook. It's more second nature now,
right?
It's what we do for work. So.
Swallow your pride, realize you're going to mess up. You're going to do things not unethically, but like you're going to do things you never thought you were going to do and that you wouldn't do again. You know what I mean? It's like whether that's living in a house with 5 people and no air conditioning, no heat in the winter, or whatever, or that looks like, and I know this is one for us where it's like I'm proud of it and not proud of it kind of thing, where it's like flying parking lots. Like I'm proud of it in the sense of the like never die attitude. I'm not proud of it because we were flying fucking parking lots, and that's not the kind of business model we want to present ourselves as. But it's one of those things where it's like you put a fucking gun in my head, like, yeah, I'm gonna flyer that parking lot.
Right. Yeah. It's flyer this parking lot or you're going out of business. It's like, well, fuck, I'd rather have a business that ends up making it than to, be prideful in this particular moment.
Right.
So.
Well, and I think like with that, I think like be pride, like don't be prideful, but stick to your morals. Like stick to who you are. Like, again, like that's one of the things we've always said, like that we would rather fail doing this different than the rest of the industry we feel like does it. We'd rather that than make all the same things that we hated about supplement stores. Like, we don't want to fall into those because they're so easy to fall into. Tell me how many supplement companies you've watched go down the exact same trail of like killing their company. We've seen it so many times, and it's like you literally
what looks like great opportunities will cost you in the long run,
right? And it's like, it's just this thing where you're like, how do you guys not see that you're literally walking in the steps of everyone who failed before you? And it's like and failed dumbly, I guess. Like I get it, I understand to an extent, but it's just like, you have to stick to it so much so that you would rather fail sticking to it than fail by, doing it the wrong way.
They're probably looking at the companies that are temporarily doing really well by making those decisions, but will just haven't fallen into the inevitable trap at the end yet.
Yeah, you're standing in quicksand, dude.
Yeah.
And bragging about your suntan. Yeah, cool, dude. Look below, look down.
Yeah. Man, we had a buddy in town this weekend, and who was talking to me about purchasing a business, and I won't divulge too much.
His social security number.
But it was really fun to kind of talk to him because, and just kind of ask him questions and whatnot, and just get to hear from him a little bit more. And then, and I avoided offering opinions about it because I don't want to be the person just giving unwarranted advice of, let me tell you about business. So it's like, hey, if you want to, you'll ask. But, towards the end of the weekend, finally asked, hey, like, we've been talking about it a lot, and, what do you think?
Right.
I'm like, okay, well, I've got more questions. I've got a little bit more in-depth questions if you really want my opinion. So he was way more prepared, knew way more about this business and his overall plan than we put a lot of planning in place, but it wasn't as smart of planning as this person did. He's a whole lot more prepared to jump into business than we were when we were opening Triad and starting Define Nutrition. But I kind of warned him. I was like, hey, like, I'm going to ask some questions because, like, I'm going to try and find the holes. Like, I'm going to try and find where could this go wrong. And I think we maybe pinpointed a couple of areas to kind of look into a little bit. It's an industry I'm not super familiar with, but he had financial statements, anything I was asking, he had information like certain contracts. And so again, genuinely very, very prepared. But we got to the end of that and it was like, hey, we pinpointed a couple of things that maybe could go wrong, like, or maybe some potential issues. That being said, man, there's going to be other things that we didn't talk about today that will 100% go wrong. Yep. But that's true for any business, man. Dude, you're about as far as I can tell, dude, you're as prepared as you can be. This is as good as of an opportunity as I can tell. I've never bought any businesses before, so I don't really know. But like, man, you'll learn a lot by going through this, and you won't learn it unless you do go through it. So I don't personally have any other advice, like in particular, and jumping into it, dude. I think you just have to dive into it and you'll figure it out as you go. Right. If you have the mental fortitude to get through some tough periods, be willing to make sacrifices that can look like a number of different things. Right. Man, as long as you're willing to go through it, like, you'll be fine, dude. You'll figure it out. Yep. He's a super smart dude. Yeah. Super hardworking. I'm sure he'll do great. The tools, yeah. He's got all the tools, man. Just jump in and do it, dude. Like, you're gonna have moments where you're like, dude, I was a fucking idiot. But dude, as long as you don't fucking quit, dude, you'll figure it out and get out of it, dude. Yeah. Like, that's why I talk about, like, businesses not failing, but people quitting.
Right.
Yeah, dude, just don't quit. You'll get it.
Right.
So,
well, that reminds me, and I have to tinkle. So we are at 2 hours, which is crazy that we already talked for 2 hours.
Dang, I got one more good question, but
I'm gonna go over what I was gonna say. I'm gonna tinkle, and we'll do that last question because I'm about to pee myself.
We might save it for another one.
Okay. Something that I think is super, super valuable in life in general, but I definitely think in business is have somebody that you not only trust to talk about things with, but that will also shoot you straight. Like somebody in your life, whether they're part of business or not, just somebody who will tell you how it is no matter what. I think that can be such an important thing.
Yep.
Of like somebody to call you out, somebody to keep you on the straight and narrow or whatever, like all of those kind of things. And I think like being that person for somebody else is like all those kind of things. Like I think that can be like so important. I know like how many times you've been that person for me, and I know I've tried to be that person for you too.
Definitely have been.
And it's like, I think having something like that, especially, I think we're very blessed in the sense of like, you know, we've been friends for 14 years. And that like through 14 years of friendship that like we've never had ill intent towards each other. And so we have that like trust of like, whatever this person's telling me, it's because they think it's the best thing for me to hear. I think is like such a valuable thing in the sense of like, you could tell me anything, and if it was like something that you were telling me, I would trust, like, even if I disagreed with it, even if it upset me, I know it's because you think I truly need to hear it, is so valuable. Because like at the end of the day, I know that whatever you're trying to do or say, it comes from love. And I think the same thing with the business, because we both do care so much, and like Alyssa as well. Like I think anybody involved, but like if it's you, me, and Alyssa talking about something, or Ryan or Preston, plug and play, anybody in the company, is that no matter what they say, even if Ryan and I don't agree on something, we don't see eye to eye on something, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that Ryan is saying this because he thinks it's the best thing for the company. He thinks it's the best thing for the business. He thinks it's the best thing for everybody. And there's something to that of like, even if we don't agree, but we're all rowing in the same direction of like, I'm saying this and I might be passionate about it and I might get loud or something about it. It is because I truly believe it. And I know that for everybody else is such a beautiful thing to have, because it's like, hey, I might not agree, but I know your heart is full of like trying to move us in the best direction.
Yeah. That's I feel like it's a balance between, I'll fucking die for you, but I'm not going to be your yes man. Yeah. And even that part, I think there's a balance to it of, not playing the devil's advocate for everything. You know, it's like, hey, man, like,
jerk.
Exactly. It's like, hey, dude, when you're hyped about something, I could be hyped about, we could be hyped about the same thing. We don't always have to have as many perspectives as possible. Like we can be on the same page as much as possible, but like, let's make sure that we also are taking into account our own genuine opinion, so that if I do have a different opinion, I can play devil's advocate in that scenario. So,
well, and it's very interesting too, because like, I know we can both attest to this. I know the moment I'm dealing with an owner of something or just a business in general that is full of nobody willing to speak up.
Yeah.
Oh, I can smell it from a mile away. Sometimes people make it pretty fucking obvious though, where it's just like, oh yeah. No one's allowed to tell you anything.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I think that's like such a cool thing in business is when, and I think you've always had a really good attitude about this. And I know the story that you like bring up all the time was you taking a customer and Alfonso being new and being like, looking at you and saying, I think you could have done more with them. Like, one, punch in the gut.
Yeah.
Two, again, kudos to you for taking that and being like, you know what, you're right. And three, kudos to him for being willing to say it. Because like,
For sure.
I think this is something that you'd have always had, but appreciate him being a catalyst in this, because it's like, it becomes very easy, especially as your company, I feel like, starts to get more and more successful, to start feeling like you've got the Midas touch, and whatever you do, it turns to gold. You can't make the wrong decision. You can't say the wrong thing. You can't do whatever wrong. And it's like, I really feel like that people can fall into that. And as an owner or somebody jumping into entrepreneurship, if you have somebody who's willing to tell you, that they think something's wrong and they have good intentions in their heart, if you turn your back on them and get rid of them for it, then you're making your own bed.
Yeah, seriously. You need to go pee-pee?
Oh my God.
We'll take a quick break. As he's going, using the facilities, I'll give a quick thank you to everybody that did respond to this. We obviously won't be able to get to everybody that contributed on questions and topics that they wanted to hear about. But definitely really appreciate everybody that did contribute, and definitely got some really, really good ones. So, and appreciate everybody listening as always. So, yeah, I didn't expect to have more than I was like, man, if we just get one good topic, one good question in here, Thomas and I can run with that for a whole episode. Sometimes I worry of, when we do this sort of thing, are we going to end up getting to any questions at all, or just have a whole episode where it's just us BSing? So, yeah, that's definitely Thomas and I's dynamic. We have to get reminded to go home by our wives all the time because we get to talking too much. But yeah, these have been really, really good questions, really good topics. I've got one more. Again, we won't get to all of them, but I've got one more that would be a really good one. We'll see if Thomas wants to answer this one now, because this one could be a long one as well. Here he is now.
I feel so reinvigorated.
All right. I've got, again, I was telling them we're not getting all of them. Appreciate everybody for contributing on these. I had one more that, as looking through these, I was like, that'd be a good one to hit. It could be a long, a long answer.
Hit me with it, Daddy.
All right. From our friend, Mr. Patrick Mabe. Sexy details of how you approach scaling business. First and foremost, Mr. Patrick Mabe, I think you know how to scale a business better than we do.
Yeah.
Being part of like a dozen brands that are bigger than our own. So, right. We'll throw that question right back at you. I hope you're listening.
Yeah. Please tell us.
Yeah. Shoot me a call and tell me what you think.
Sexy details on how to scale a business. First and foremost, I think, obviously scaling a business, this is obviously like pretty rudimentary, like thinking here, but it's where I feel like people fail the most, especially, and I will put this specifically into like a retail category, is why do people shop with you? And like scaling a business starts with the foundation. And I feel like you can't expect to scale. I'll put it this way. I have talked to many people in many different industries that are all like retail associated. And I remember having a conversation with a guy one time who, I don't even know his name. So I doubt he's listening. But just having a conversation with him, and like it was kind of a businessy setting, and so got to kind of like dig in a little bit with like more questions, I guess, because it was kind of like I don't know how to describe it. Anyway, he owned a dispensary here locally, and I don't know the name of the dispensary or anything, but my question that he could not answer was, why does somebody shop with you versus any of the other dispensaries? And he was like, well, and I'm like, are you cheaper? And he was like, eh. And I'm like, do you have some like exclusive strains of things or things that you can only get from, your dispensary? He's like, eh. And I was like, do you feel like your people are like definitely the most knowledgeable about like different things and like being able to help a customer? And he was like, eh. And I was like, best customer service. Yeah. Most free swag,
Yeah.
Eh. And I'm like, brother, and I didn't say all this, but my thought process is pull any Triad employee off the floor right now and say, why does somebody shop with Triad versus any of their other options online, retail location, whatever? Why do they shop with us? And I bet they could talk for 2 hours.
Yep. They would name all of those things that you just asked about.
Right. Like there's so many things. And if you can't answer that question, I don't know how you're supposed to scale.
Yeah.
And if you can't answer that question, you better start finding ways to answer it. And and obviously that's going to look different for like different industries and stuff. But I just remember like his best response was like, I have some of my regulars' phone numbers and I will shoot them deals. And I'm like, bro, that's tough. Like that's really tough because, like for us, we have a very unique thing in like the normal nomenclature of reading economics is that we try to provide a better service, a more premium product, a better environment at a cheaper cost. Like that goes against everything. Traditionally, all of those things cost more. We attempt to do them for free or cheaper.
Yep.
And so like,
yeah, good business sense, you pick two of the three, the service, the price, the quality. Typically you pick two of the three. You shouldn't go after all three. We are stubborn and say, fuck that, we're doing all three.
We're doing all three, right? And so because the point is, and anybody who's listening to this, like pick one of those categories. Knowledge. Well, you just, you guys know that we put our people through an 8 to 12 hour handwritten essay test on knowledge alone. Okay. Well, I don't know anybody else doing that. Like, and I don't mean to speak, I'm not trying to speak illy of anybody like locally or nationally or anything, but I don't know anybody else who's really doing that. Supplement Superstores, I will say, did a version of that.
For sure.
So that would be like the next closest thing. And like, kudos to them. Guess where we got the idea?
Exactly.
Right. And then it's like, okay, customer service. And I'm like, I think, obviously it's my passion project, but it's like, I hang my hat on that. And like, you hear, our customer service, and it's something we could compliment it on. Most of our reviews are based around it. A lot of the love and loyalty for Triad comes from our customer service. People know that they can buy products elsewhere and they come to us for us. And you've also heard about all the new things we've just implemented to hopefully make it even better. Okay. Sell everything at minimum advertised price. That is the cheapest you're supposed to be able to buy any of those products online or in store, regardless of location. We are selling it at what that company says should be the minimum it should be advertised for. Every product in the store.
Yep.
Right?
If we drop it, we get in trouble.
Right. Exactly. So are you the cheapest? We should be on par with the cheapest. Right? Like we will beat their own website at their price sometimes, depending upon the product. It's like, okay, do you go above and beyond for your customers? Yeah. Like we've got multiple modalities of things that we have in the store that are strictly based around you being as comfortable and as happy of a customer as possible, with ability to represent, ability to just enjoy, all of that. On top of like trying to continue that past the initial interaction. Okay. So, what else did I name? You know what I mean? Like of those lists of things that you could be doing. And it's like, those are all like things that I will say this. Most of them don't cost anything or very little. All of them are hard as shit.
Yep.
They are so difficult, and it is a constant upkeep to keep them at the level we have them and constantly trying to push them higher. If you want to scale the company, all of those things will result in customer loyalty in my mind, and I think in a lot of people's minds. I think those kind of things, I think our biggest reason why we have customer loyalty is not our prices. It's not because our shirts are comfortable. It's not because, I don't even think it's because we have good customer service, right? Like, I think we have amazing customer service, obviously. I think that all of that comes because our employees give a shit about our customers, about the people who walk in the door. They genuinely care. They want to show up to your birthday party like they give a shit, kind of thing. And if you're not trying to, because my point in all of this, and you weren't wrong, this is going to be a long one. My point in all of this is, are you going to be able to beat us on price sometimes? Yeah. It's going to be difficult. Somebody might be doing something they're not supposed to. A brand might be kind of undercutting us a little bit. Like, that'll happen.
Some crazy deals pop up from time to time.
Right.
And it is what it is. But you have to run something pretty freaking crazy to beat us.
Right. And sometimes brands that we carry will run BOGOs and stuff like that. And it is what it is, right? Yeah. And that's fine. Can you find it for the same price and more convenient than us? For sure. Amazon.
Yep.
For the majority of stuff that we have, right? So if you are not creating an environment that makes people want to come to you, not you and you're not this, but you. They want to come for you. Written in the back of our handbook is the mantra that says, create an environment so cool and so welcoming that customers would come back 2 more times, even if we didn't have supplements for sale. Like, if we had nothing on the walls, people would want to come back at least 2 more times just to hang out because they love the environment and they love the staff, they love the people.
Yep.
If you can do any of those things where, you know what? Yeah, you can beat us on price, but good fucking luck beating us on care, and good fucking luck beating us on knowledge, and good luck on beating us on being willing to do anything we can within our character, like in a positive way, anything we can to make a better experience for every single person that walks in the door. Good fucking luck beating that, because I know you, me, and everybody else that works for this company will die before we ever lose that. No, I wouldn't be here if we didn't have that. But those are the things that I think allow companies to truly scale, because that is when we have customers like we do now. And I'm just continuing to use us as an example, but we have customers that that live 5 minutes from one store, that will drive 25 minutes to another one of our locations because they want to check it out. It is a supplement store with the same supplements.
Same flooring, same shelving, same counter,
same idea, same everything.
Yep.
And they want to go check it out. They just want to see it. And I think like so much of that is finding a genuine way to welcome people into your family.
Yep.
And if you can't do any of those things, or heaven forbid, you can't even answer the question of what makes you different, I can't tell you how to scale your company then, because I don't know how long you're going to last. And again, I think this is a lot of times, like in some ways, I think limited to retail, but obviously not in others. But it's like, I even asked the guy, I was like, the only dispensary I know of that I've known, I've literally never walked into a dispensary in my life, but it's like mangoes. It's like, I see those, I see signs, I see billboards, I see marketing or whatever. And he's like, oh yeah, the fucking mangoes. And I'm like, well, what are they doing? And he's like, well, it's super nice in there. And, they I don't know what all they do. And he's like, and they're like, okay, people, they're knowledgeable. He's like, yeah, they're knowledgeable. And I'm like, okay, so it's nice, it's knowledgeable. I was like, well, are you cheaper than them? Or they, and he's like, no. And I'm like, why would anybody go to you?
Yeah.
You got to look in the mirror sometimes and be like, why is somebody choosing to come to my place of business? And I pride myself a lot on the fact that I do genuinely think that you could plug any single Triad employee, newest to oldest, and ask them that question, and they could give you a laundry list of reasons why they believe people shop at Triad versus somewhere else.
That's such a funny thing too, because like that's, to me, that's the most fun part about business is and why we take the approach of like, fuck it, we're going to do all three. We're going to have the best service, we're going to have the best quality, and we're going to have the cheapest prices. Is I don't want anybody to beat us on anything.
Right.
As I want to win in every aspect. I want to make it to the point where it's like, dude, you can't beat us at any game within the supplement industry. Right. And that's, I mean, it's just fun, man.
Right. And cordially do it. Like, I will shake your hand happily and just be like, be better. I want you to be better than me.
And that's what makes it fun, is there are people that are trying to be better. It's a competition. If we were just out here on our own, like, it'd be cool. We'd probably be making a lot of money. But yeah, it's in the grand scheme of things, it's more about building your own customer base than stealing somebody else's.
Amen.
But
the real fun is the friends you make along the way.
Yeah, for real though.
Like, literally though.
But yeah, man, I think that's, you got to you have to have that mindset. And I think one thing that goes along with what you're saying is just constantly have the mindset of constantly looking for improvements. No matter how well you're doing, is like constantly looking for improvements, having the mindset of you're constantly trying to make improvements, even when you're setting records, is what, in my opinion, will ultimately scale you. Again, we're speaking from a business that is still probably in the small business category. I think we'll probably be in that category for a long time. I think you have to be doing a lot of money to be not considered a small business. But which probably ties into probably how I would answer, is very much of, it's different at different phases. What got you here won't get you there. And it's tough for, I guess, for someone that's gone through it, can probably look back and see different things that could help you continue to scale at a, smaller than where they are right now. But even if you're in the same industry, I think there's going to be that business is different for a reason. Yep. So speaking from our own experience, we've had to learn different things along the way, and we've definitely gone through different phases of different things. So, our first 5 years of business was, how do we grow just one store? How do we build our customer base in just this one area with this one location? And there was a lot of figuring out our marketing. I think there was a lot of really figuring out how to play our promotional schedule, and what kinds of things to do and how to do them, and all the little nuances of that. And, luckily prior to that, we had a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge, a lot coming from Supplement Superstores on how to keep our current customer base satisfied, or the people that come into the store, how to keep them happy and coming back. After marketing, once we really had proof of concept on our marketing more, and we're just like, hey, we can replicate this. Let's do another store. That obviously is scaling in itself. Once we scale to a new store, more systems have to be set in place. And, when it comes to leadership, when it comes to schedules, when it comes to, just general store responsibilities for even base level employees, and we're hitting a big phase right now where we are, I think having to implement things like more customer service training, because it's hard to keep that level that we've had for a long time. So we're going through another phase of having to set some systems in place and build that out. So, and that might help us get to the next step, but to get beyond that step, we'll probably have to do some different stuff. So, but yeah, man, I think it's a constantly evolving thing. I believe if you are a small business and you're looking at a big business, you have to have a good sense for what will genuinely work for you and what is not the right time. Because if we sit and look at a business that's doing $100 million in sales a year, which,
so half of us, just kidding.
We tried to replicate exactly what they're doing, it probably wouldn't work super well for us, because you take that into the marketing silo, and it's like, dude, they're probably able to, they have the capital to be able to saturate much bigger markets than you are. So they can use very different marketing strategies, where us, that doesn't necessarily work. Our smaller amount of capital can be used very strategically because we're in a much smaller area to go, a lot further and make more use of it. So obviously that could be used in finances, that could be used in systems, that could be used in whatever.
Right.
But I think, you can maybe look at them of how did that business go from when they were my size? How did they get to the next step? I think there could be definitely some of that, but not even necessarily, man. Like your business is different than their business, and it's the market is different at this time. I think you develop a lot of a sense for what you need to do, and I think. And it's still a tough thing, I think, no matter what, because again, what got you here won't get you there. And how do you know what's going to get you there before you get there? I have really valued time, where going back to our therapy session, I have really started to value time where I can just sit and think, because that's where I feel like I'm able to produce at least ideas on what might help us grow, because we've never done that before. How do we know what to do? I can, I think that's why books I enjoy reading are more biographical on other business owners and their process, how they, I tend to lose interest once they get like way beyond what we're doing in business, because like their early on stages is fun to reminisce. Then as they get where we're going, I can kind of take notes of like, okay, and then how do they scale to the next step? I learn a whole lot better that way. I enjoy, I'm reading, what's the guy's name? British dude.
Pee Wee Herman. Mr. Bean.
No.
Damn.
Owns Virgin Airlines. Richard Branson. Reading his book right now, which is really funny because his book is so freaking British. It's really funny. I read it with a British accent in my head.
Dude's a virgin.
That's what I heard. But yeah, I enjoy reading those. Yeah, I feel like it's kind of going along with like always looking for ways to improve and really thinking through, hey, if we put effort into this particular department right now, is that going to help us scale to the next step, or is this something that, isn't going to have a lot of effect for us? Is this could this be more useful in, when we are twice the size to get us to the next step? So.
Yeah. One of the things that like stuck with me a bunch there was like systems.
And it's different systems at different stages, in my opinion.
Cause it's like, especially going from like that is like one of the most underrated things about going from like one store to two stores is like starting to have people on the phone for meeting.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, well, how much information are they getting? How much information are they digesting? And then it was like, not only are we having to implement things for that, but then it was like, okay, then we started sending meeting notes because it was like, you could bring something up 15 times in a meeting and it might go in one ear and out the other for somebody. You know what I mean? And it's like, or something gets miscommunicated, the phone cuts out for a little bit, whatever. And you're just like, well, all right. Don't know what that was. Hopefully it wasn't important. You know what I mean? And so then it just turned into sending meeting notes. And then it's like to help at the end of meetings. So it's like important dates, those kind of things can get like looked at and seen and everybody kind of knew what was going on. But it's like just understanding those things that like you said, what got you here won't get you there. Things that you have had for potentially years and have worked just fine will probably have to change at some point as you grow, as you get bigger. And sometimes that's exciting things and sometimes it's like less exciting things, like I remember us like implementing in like vacation time. And it was like, dude, we were always just so small that it was never even like a thought, because you're just like, oh yeah, you need the day off, like whatever, like, well, somebody else will work.
We work together most days of the week.
Right.
We can, we've got a good balance on being able to take some time off.
Right. Not anymore.
Right.
Yeah. We can't, nobody can juggle all that right now. And so then it's like, implementing, okay, like PTO, and okay, well, how much PTO? Okay, well, we want to do this. Like, we want to do like these kind of benefits. Like, we want to do this. Okay. Like, oh man, we always just kind of like did this, and now it's like, oh, well, let's build a structure to that. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I think all of those kind of things, as they like come, like, I think taking those in stride, and we've talked about this before on the podcast, I think you've always done a really good job about this. You're less fun than you used to be, though. You used to get all pissed at me about changing stuff, and then now
you want me to get more pissed?
Now you just let me do it. So fucking lame.
You're so fucking easy now.
Yeah, I know. You used to argue back and forth, and then I would laugh at you, and then you calm down, and you realize I was right, and then I realized I wasn't totally right, and then we come to a compromise and we move on. And so, like, those were the fun days. Now it's just like, hey, we should do this, and you're like, yeah, dude, I agree. You're like, well, shit.
A lot of trust.
But I think the point,
I was ready to fight you.
I think the point is like, realizing that certain things and certain structures you have, that them changing and evolving is because you're growing. So much about this is perspective too. Like, what's the thing I sent you the other day? I don't even know what the guy's name is. He's not my favorite guy, but like, he has some good stuff to say sometimes.
Hormozy?
Sure. But he put something on there where it was just like, if you're in a constant state of being understaffed, it's because your business is growing. And it's like, oh yeah, like that is a good perspective. You know what I mean? And it's like, obviously it's not true in all cases, but it's like, it's one of those things where you're like, you know what though? Like, that is a really good way to look at this.
Yeah.
If I'm looking at this as not like, oh my gosh, we're understaffed, we're never like, and that's like one of those things. Like, we have gone through phases of perpetually hiring, it
was like 2 years where we were constantly.
And that's the thing where it's like, but that's a good thing. You know what I mean? And it's like hiring people preemptively for what's coming, like those kind of things. Like those are all things that like could be easily looked at as like negative stressors and annoying and we hate it, like whatever, as opposed to being like, no, changing systems means they need to because you've grown, or they need to because they aren't working. And both of those things mean positive stuff. Even if you were attached to it, like one day, you know what? The training program I just created will probably be changed.
I was going to say it, but I didn't want to hurt your feelings.
No, it won't, because if it gets changed, like I will kill whoever does it. And then I will feel great. No, I'm just kidding. But like, if that changes, that means we figured out a better way to do it. Or something within it needed to change. My point exactly to this is it's like, I made our first eval. You know what version of eval we're on right now?
Oh, man.
Dude, we're on like seven or eight.
That's crazy. Yeah.
7 or 8 different versions of our like customer interaction eval. You know why? Because I think of better ways to do it.
Yeah.
I think of more important things. I look at things that like make more sense or whatever. And
most updates come from you, from ideas that you had.
Right. And then like, you know what? And then somebody else points out something that could be changed about it. And I get fucking stoked because that means this thing is going to be better. And like at the end of the day, I think like a huge part of scaling will understand that, like, again, all of this with the caveat of like, stick to your morals, stick to your character, stick to what you believe is right. And then who cares, like, if the system changes on how you do payroll? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Yeah, whatever, how you do this or how you do that. It's like, changes are good things, even though they're scary. If it never has to be like change how we treat customers to be shittier, then guess what? You're doing something right. So
That was a good answer. I say let's wrap it up there.
Hell yeah! What episode was this?
66.
Who are we gonna have on in 3 episodes?
That's a good question. Someone that'll appreciate
being on episode 69.
Yeah, we got to really think on that one.
Nice.
Yeah. Then we got to think on who's going to be on episode 666. So, yep.
Episode 66. That's crazy. We were just talking about how long we've been doing this podcast. Does anybody know?
August. I looked it up. We first started posting August of 2023. So we will be at 3 years in August, which is wild because I was questioning if we were at 2 years or not earlier today.
That's bananas.
Yeah.
So
thank you again to everybody that submitted questions. I know I mentioned this earlier, but if you asked something and we didn't get to it, just know
it sucks. Just kidding.
There were a lot of really good ones. We could sit here for another 3 hours and still have some great ones to cover. We honestly might cover on some later ones. If I throw something up again, please, if we didn't answer them before, please don't be discouraged. They are all genuinely really good ones. I was kind of shooting from the hip a little bit here today. But do really appreciate everybody, the contributions that everybody had. So yeah, we'll throw it up again because that was fun.
Heck yeah. Those are fun. I think it gives us some good talking points too. Yeah. We don't get through very many of them because we just get yapping.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's good. And we could hopefully try to save some or something, or just like Kevin said, resubmit them. Don't be bashful. But yeah, this is fun. This was good. Ooh, yeah. A little over 2.5.
We don't always get that way with just you and I. I think we get tired at the end of the day.
Yeah, we're usually like hour and a half good enough.
Yeah, we're like, we're both pretty sleepy. So
yeah, no, that was good.
Yeah, it was fun.
Appreciate everybody listening. We shall see you soon. Kisses.
Thanks for listening, guys.